Welcome to Create Before Consume. Now, here's your host, Fitz.
So, welcome to Create Before Consume, a podcast from creators for creators. And today we got a one and only Cory Van Valin. Oh, how do you say that actually?
So it's Van Valin, kind of like Valentine's Day, but Van Valin.
Van Valin. That rolls way smoother from the tongue. I'm so bad with
I made it up myself.
Yeah, so the problem for me is like, you know, being foreign and then pronouncing names. It's a rough one. But, so you are a magician, so...
Well, the thing is, no, I'm not a magician. I'm the magician. It sounds way cooler.
Yeah. Exactly. They're way cooler. You're actually a household name in St. Petersburg and Tampa area. And when people who follow you and know you, you're traveling all around. So you've been like to Las Vegas, on the strip basically.
You know what's so cool is, man, I'm finding out how small of a world it really is. I'm out in different states, different airports, different hotels, and there's someone that'll recognize me.
Yeah.
And it goes to show, when you say hello to people often, you don't know how connected we really are.
Yeah. And I mean, like on the one side, you would say like, oh, there's not many magicians around, but you're actually one of those people where I'm like, dang, like you animating the crowd, you know, you always got a joke handy. And
Well, I mean, it goes to show, man, because what makes a magician is not someone that knows tricks. Because in that definition, our Uncle Jerry is a magician.
Yeah.
To me, someone who's a magician is someone that can make a moment magical. Yeah. By magical, someone that can make people in the present moment, no matter with tricks or without tricks. You know, but fortunately, I know some really good tricks too, and some great jokes to go with it.
Yeah. On that note, I think we met, like, what was it, on Nova 548?
Yeah, Nova 535, yeah.
Yeah, on a
shout out to Nova.
Yeah, Nova, always like throwing cool parties and everything. And I think that's where we met the first time. And I'm like, you're always out there, you're always performing. And one of my favorite moments was actually when you had that gig, like that Christmas party, and you basically showed up, and everybody was so animated after you're like, whoa them, because everybody's like, you showed a trick earlier with Rachel, and everybody's like, how cool can that be? And then you whoa them.
You know, that's a big thing I have to fight as a magician. Every interaction is, if someone had a bad experience with a magician once, I have to fight that. I have to almost redefine magic to them. I have to make it cool again.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many times that there's a bad magician that when I watch, I cringe. And so when people have haggled me a little bit, I don't blame them, because sometimes when you see a magician, they might take up too much of your time, too much of your energy and attention, when I'm here to just give a good time, and I've done it many times before that I know I can do it over and over again.
Yeah, so here's the thing actually that I don't know. I don't know the backstory of you. I saw you on the streets, I saw you performing, I saw the whole spiel, you know, and it's really wowing, but I'm also like, how do you get even started with magic?
Yeah, you know what I think so rad is, like, I think my origin story is something that can relate to anyone in any artist field. If you're a trombone player, a saxophonist, a painter, you know, it stemmed from just loving it. Yeah. Looking back, there were so many signs pointing to being a magician that I didn't realize till I was already doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I'm already doing it, and I look back and I see all these like life cues pointing that I was going to be a magician. I just never noticed it then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a tragedy story of how I got into magic.
Always good.
Because people love a good tragedy story.
Yeah.
So I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I've never been on a date.
Oh, okay.
And long story short, I meet a girl, and it's Valentine's Day coming up, and I ask her on a date, and she says yes. And in my mind in high school, I'm like, all right, what's my first date? I got to impress her. Magic. I was not a magician at the time by any definition.
Yeah.
So, but you can imagine, like, 12 years ago on YouTube, YouTube was different back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's oversaturated with clickbait and things to pull you in. And this video is brought to you by. But back 12 years ago, it wasn't. It was like a 12-year-old kid in his mom's basement in Asia. You know.
Damn. So that basically means like where some people are deciding like, I pick up the guitar and basically try to impress a woman, you're like, no, I learned something really cool. I'm gonna pick up that chick.
So that's kind of the parody, the almost the fallacy of being a magician, because I have so many guys that come up to me, it's like, yo, if I could do what you do, I'd get laid all the time. And I tell them, if you get laid all the time, you'll not be as good as me.
Yeah.
But at the time, I thought pressing a girl with magic would be the route. So I went on YouTube. We had a lot of rainy days in Florida, so I had a lot of time, and I'd practice with my friends, and I had a lot of friends from different age gaps, and they had to hang out with me.
Yeah.
That's a deeper story I don't want to get into. But last minute, I get called into work. And they said, hey, Cory, we need you to come in tomorrow on Valentine's Day. We're short-staffed.
Yeah.
And I never went on that Valentine's Day date.
Oh,
but
gotta work on the Valentine's Day. That is the American dream.
I kept the tricks. I kept the tricks.
Fair enough.
You know, I had this big mentality that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Now, at the time, I was devastated. I look back and I see it wasn't about the chick. It was about the tricks and life working in my favor, just me not knowing it at that time.
Yeah. And in the end, you never know if it really works out. So that's another thing. But what was the first trick that you learned? You remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
So what is the beginner trick to learn? What is the good one?
I have to paint a picture because we can't look at it as adults. When I first learned this trick, I was 6 years old. Santa was real.
Yeah.
Everything was possible. Maybe at this point I even saw David Blaine on TV, and that was real magic. That wasn't tricks. That was real magic when I saw that. The first person to teach me a trick was my father.
Okay.
Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, Dad, you didn't tell me you're a freaking magician. I couldn't say the other word. But I still remember the day. It was at some vacation hotel room. He showed me 2 tricks. To this day, I still know the tricks. I mean, I could probably show it, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we got the cards.
We got some cards.
We got some cards. We got the setup.
But that was the first trick I ever learned, and it to me, it was. I didn't realize how close magic was to me at that point. To me, magic as a kid, I thought was so far away, like Santa living in North Pole. I didn't realize that magic was that close to me. Like my dad, he wasn't a magician, but he knew some tricks that when he taught me it, I felt like I knew like a stepping stone in that whole path.
I mean, like the older generation, just in general, they know so many things, you know, like they know the handy tricks, and they know like, hey, I got the fix for this and that. And when I saw my first magic trick, it was one of those card tricks that everybody kind of knows. It's like, hey, I show you a card. Was it this one? Or you mixed it that and you pull that one out. I never figured out how to do it. And I'm like, I was not that interested in learning it, but I have no idea to this day how that trick works. But how did you start that?
What's so unique too is because you could imagine the amount of tricks I've seen from laymen, and layman is not a derogatory term. Layman just means someone that's not in that field. I remember going on a date once, calling her a layman, and she got so pissed. She's like, "What'd you call me?" But I've seen so many tricks from people on the streets, like, "Let me show you a trick," and to the point I'm tired of it because it's always the same tricks. What they don't know is even though these tricks are very, very, you know. I don't want to say simple, but they're cool and they're very fundamental, that there's so much more to that trick that they could do if they weren't lazy about it. They're just trying to get to the end result. Like, look, see, I did it, versus making people feel an emotion or go through a roller coaster of emotions, you know? So I'm not going to get too much into it, but there's a card trick that's called the 21 card trick. Magicians hate it.
Okay.
Remember this because this is foreshadowing for later. The 21 card trick, magicians hate it because it takes so long for the most medial kind of output. And you know, so magicians amongst us, we talk about how we can make that trick cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of basic things out there, and that's all it takes to get started, though. You learn one basic trick, you get the reaction from someone that is actually impressed. It gives you more fuel to learn more.
that is true, but here's the funny thing. Like, there's like sometimes you see like a magic trick. I saw like the one viral moment on like YouTube or whatever. So the whole class sees the guy like basically putting the ball in his hands and then throws it over him. And the guy who's like focusing on it is like thinking it's still in the hand, but it's not. Everybody else saw the trick, but he did not see the trick. And he's like, wow. And I'm just like, sometimes if you know how it works, it's crazy. But when we went out shooting for that one event, I still to this day did not know how you did your tricks, because I was like, oh, maybe if I look from this angle, I kind of figured out.
I mean, as a videographer, you have all access. You can slow-mo, frame by frame.
I was like, how does that work?
So, you know what's interesting? Magic is based off a lot of fundamentals and a lot of principles.
Yeah.
So the one you talk about, the ball over their head, where that one guy is the only one that's not in on it, everyone else is in on it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful human principle where you can turn where one person's the stooge, like the anti-stooge, where they don't know but everyone else knows, so everyone's laughing, they're having the time of their lives, and that guy is impressed.
Yeah.
So there's another cool principle. It's called dual reality. So
what does that mean, dual reality?
So,
it sounds really cool.
I'll paint a picture. So imagine I have you right here, and then I have an audience over here to my left. So you're to my right, audience to my left. I show you a picture, and you see, okay, that's a dog for sure.
Yeah.
And then I come down, and then over here it's a picture of a cat.
Oh, now I see.
So now they're like, okay, that's a cat. You're like, no, it's a dog. They're like, no, it's a cat. And you're like, no, it's a dog. I showed you guys two different images, but now I pitted you guys against each other. In a sense where like there's so many ways that you could have one person knowing one thing and the other people knowing a different thing. And to be honest, I've seen it in life, and I don't want to bring up media and stuff like that, but I've seen how media can use dual reality. Well, they'll show one group of people this and one group of people that. It pits people against. But that's just a magic principle that we use for entertainment. We use for good.
Yeah. I mean, like on the one side, people like snuff at that and like, oh, they want to twist reality how everybody needs it. I mean, like that is kind of like a skill you need to have in a weird way. I
think, to bring people to the present moment is the best way for, like, let's say self-defense for one.
Yeah.
If you're in a high-C situation, if you could bring someone and give them a state shock where they're not in this anger state, they're just in the moment, that's huge. But, someone that can make someone smile in a given moment, someone that can make someone laugh, make someone think. It's a power. It's a superpower to make someone, a complete stranger, feel something. It's almost like make someone feel like a little kid again.
And that is the beauty of it. So what was the most amazing moment as a magician for you? Like if you would paint the picture, like, I don't know, like best client or the best kid experience. I don't know, like just throw...
I think what it is if my younger self were to see me now...
Okay.
How proud he would be. So, for instance, I've been so blessed. I've got to meet so many of my idols. I used to be a skateboarder as a kid, and on my wall, I'd be the skater kid with all the skateboard posters. Those people that were my posters, I've got to meet them. I've been hired to meet them, and they think I'm legend. I don't know how to respond to that.
So on that note, we got to talk now about this because you're like kind of, when you go on your IG, you got a pretty decent following, like 10 something K or whatever. But the people you have met, like Andrew Schultz, Logan Paul, Mike Miller, and probably a couple others.
So many others.
Yeah. So I'm just like, holy moly! Like, how do you connect with people? How does that work? Because
it's a beautiful. It's a domino effect. This is actually a big topic I want to bring up with it is you never know what a hello holds, and connections go a long way, but the confidence I've had because I've met my idols, because I've met people that I thought were unmeetable and they think I'm cool, it's given me this confidence that I can meet anyone. You name the rapper, the actor, like if I'm in the same vicinity of them, I'm going to have this confidence that I can meet them.
You got to pull out the stage pass. Look at that. I got it.
Yeah. So this is actually a cool topic that I'm kind of freestyling right now. It's the idea of the metaphor of like a fisherman.
Yeah.
Imagine you fish at a pond and you're catching some small fish, and you meet this other fisherman. He's like, hey man, if you're trying to catch good fish, come to this pond. You go to this pond, you start catching bigger fish. You meet some other fishermen. Hey, come to this pond. And that's the metaphor for some of my gigs that I do.
Yeah.
I'll do a gig where someone from a bigger pond sees me. It's like, hey, you got to come do magic at this event. And at that event, I'm meeting other people that are from a bigger pond and vast amount of ponds. So, when you're out and about places, you got to have this excitement that you're going to meet the person that's going to change your life, because you never know. They walk amongst us.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I feel like, so this is very universal for everybody. I feel like, mindset. When you go in and you prep for a gig, like what is your mindset? Like, what gets you hyped up, motivated?
Yeah.
What's the fire?
Oh, I love that question, my man. So I've been doing a lot of my gigs enough that I know what to grab, and I already have a lot of good to go grab tricks that I can just put in my pocket. I'm good to go. But now what's more important for the prep is when I'm driving to that gig, I'll do this thing when I'm by myself that people driving parallel probably think I'm crazy. But I am in the car and I'm jumping up and down as if I just made $1 million, or as if I just made the connection of a lifetime, or I just, did the coolest thing in the life. I feel those emotions. I think Tony Robbins talks about there's emotion and motion. So I'm in the car by myself, jamming out as if. So when I arrive at these gigs, I'm not absorbing their energy. Yeah. When I walk into these events are feeling me. They're feeling my energy. And I do believe in energy a lot, where energy is drawn towards you, you're drawn towards it. And so I do this thing where I psych myself in and I have this big smile. I believe smiles result in good things, when you're smiling, good things happen afterwards. So that's part of the prep, man. And they don't teach you that at magic school.
So there's a magic school as a Hogwarts?
I wish, man. I wish. If there was, I'd probably check it out.
Yeah. So do you have any, like, let's talk about that, for example. Like, do you have any inspirational movies as a magician? I don't know. Like, is there something like that? Because the scene is not that big, I feel like. I only know one or maybe two magicians, and I already forgot the other name.
Good. Hey, listen, by the end of this, I'm going to you to forget the other one. You got to be the best by being the only. No, that's a terrible advice. So you asked about movies. So there's like easy ones to name off the top of my mind, but I'm going to go offbeat. There's a great movie on Disney Plus called Magic Camp.
Magic Camp.
Bro, I cried like a kid.
Okay.
Watching it. It evoked so much emotions for me. Obviously, I have a lot of roots in the magic, so when I see, like, certain names and certain principles, I feel it in my heart and soul. But yeah, Magic Camp. People would normally say Now You See Me, great movie. The Prestige, great movie. Illusionist, great movie. I'm going Magic Camp.
Magic Camp, okay.
It's very inspiring for a kid and adult alike.
Yeah. So on Create Before Consume, we already talked like a lot about like social media, like Instagram, TikTok, all that jazz. Everybody consumes it. Everybody's trying to make it on it. And for me as a videographer, it's like, yeah, I'm the cameraman. But what do you shoot if you're the cameraman? But you're the magician. So it's like, how you deal with social media, the stress about creating content and mindset in general.
So, I think I only stress when I have too much time on my hands, and luckily I've had a point where I almost didn't have enough time in my hands. I was just doing my thing naturally posting about it, so I'm naturally getting things. But I'll tell you, I have some tactics, some cheat codes. I make it a fun excursion to follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
So when I have a whole group, and some of the ideas, you got to give them a little bit for you to ask them to do anything for you. So yeah. I have this mentality when I meet a group of people that I'm handing them $100 bill, not physically. That gets expensive after a while.
Cory, he pays you $100 to follow
unless
him.
I'm Mr. Beast, that's how you make it. But metaphorically, I know that I'm giving them $100 worth of value, and I'm not asking for anything in return. And if I do feel that they're cool people, like, hey, you guys have Instagram. Here, pull out your phones, follow me on Instagram. And my username, I have two usernames.
I know. That is another thing we need to talk about, because you're throwing a little bit shade at somebody of the big, I think the guy was really big on MTV, Chris Angel.
Yeah. He's huge in Vegas. I think he's so big that my dent on him has no impact, although I have a lot of friends that are friends with him. But there's no actual shade against him.
Yeah.
It's just a funny joke, because, I'll say to the people, my name's Cory. Then on Instagram, it's under Chris. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's under Chris. And they type it in, and I'm like, all right, Angel. I was like, no. I'm like, sucks. They're like, no way. And then they're like, oh my God, there he is. And that leads to my main account. And, so I have one. So the Chris Angel Sucks is purely for people that I meet in person. My other one, I've been shouted out by, some of these big names we brought up, and I've gotten a big following from that. But I like having one that's purely just people that I've met in person.
Yeah.
And I make it a fun experience where it's not just like type in X__art. I make it like something funny.
You put a spiel on it.
Yeah, it's easy to remember. So if I was on the radio and I said Chris Angel Sucks, you will remember that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things where it's like, yeah, you need one username for everything, and then do you really like that name? But
have something that like maybe segues into it, because have that main unit, have that big base. But I mean, I hear a lot of people that have their Instagram shut down. You got to have a backup account.
That is one of the things like where I'm very terrified about, because when I started YouTube like 10 years ago, I played with it a little bit. I got my first paycheck back in the day. Then things changed with the rules, regulations, and whatever. But everything gets controlled by an algorithm. And my account got shut down for no reason, and I got banned from Google. You cannot imagine what that means, being banned from Google. No Google Maps, no anything. And I'm just like, why am I banned? I didn't do anything. I didn't use copyrighted music, and it was just a mistake. And there's no human interaction. You cannot contact anybody if you're a small account. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I got to reinstate it, and I'm like, that was a terrifying wake-up call.
Let me ask you a question. This is just off the cuff from me. What do you think's worse? Being banned on, like, let's say Instagram, or being shadow banned?
I don't even know. Like, I went to that one course from Ryan Margin. I'm terrible with last names. Okay. But basically, he's like one of the guys who's managing all the big Instagram accounts and how to make the stories for them. And he has an agency running that. And there was a dude, he's like, I'm shadow banned. And we're like, what? And he's like, give me your phone. I'll check that out. You know, he's like tagging himself to see if it will pop up. It did not pop up. And then I was like, that's weird. He couldn't explain it. And he's like the expert on that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so apparently it's a real thing. But on the one side, I also want to say, like, is it though? And because like people who really want to see it, they will follow, but it's really tough, you know. So I feel like there is a shadow ban, but there is not in a weird way, depending on the content.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that sucks about the algorithm is that you have to kind of abide by it, and if you don't, but the thing is they don't give a whole textbook of how.
No. And
the moment you figure it out, they change.
Yeah.
I almost want to bring up something not dark or like
just do it.
I mean, like, so you brought up the whole agency that runs a lot of accounts with like certain reels and stuff. I'm like wondering if I could say anything. I can.
Just say no names then.
Yeah, no names. Not at all. Not at all.
Just rip it out.
So the Illuminati.
Okay, the hit squad is coming. We're kind of screwed.
Oh fuck! I'm getting a text. No, so imagine what the Illuminati represents.
Yeah.
I know for a fact and any magicians that watch this, they'll know what I'm talking about. But I know them firsthand. There was a group on Facebook that was making buku monies on Facebook for a certain type of video that it wasn't anything that was actually good content. Oh. They would do things that it just fit the algorithm so perfectly. They just like had to siphon as much water into that tunnel that they could, but it was a certain kind. But they're also like an agency in a sense.
Yeah. That
I remember the Illuminati. I mean, this group asked me to join, and again, I'm not naming names, so I'm clear. But I remember like. They're like, yeah, we'll create you a new account. And I'm like, oh, no, I already have it. No, we'll create you a new account. I'm like, what do they know that I don't know?
There's always something. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, I know, like, people like fitness trainers where I'm like, if you would change a couple things and don't say certain words or, you know, like there's certain things you cannot talk about, like politics and stuff like that. But on the other side, you need to polarize. But if you're too polarizing on too many things, you just push everybody away instead of like being just a little bit mainstream with one or two polarizing opinions. What is weird?
Yeah, what's so cool in my background, and not just magic, but one of my backgrounds, I watch a lot of YouTubes, I watch a lot of videos, and I get to see common denominators amongst things that are completely unrelated. Yeah. Like I subscribe to chess channels, poker channels, rock climber, Tetris, Sudokus. Like, so these are
very diverse.
Very diverse. Somehow they get me, but I find out like what elements about those videos am I enticed by. So when I get my channel, which is, you know, a big move coming up this year, is I want to utilize the things that I've always enjoyed about every other channel, but adding my spice to it, adding my personality towards.
I mean, like, that is a big key because nowadays everybody's like saying everything is oversaturated, but it's not. If you think about it, it's like there's only one Cory, you know, there's your style, and you can pick up 2-3 things, and then it's a completely new mix, you know. Let's imagine you would like stream games, make a magic trick, and do something else. Right?
Well, they say there's no such thing as an invention. It's just two things that I've already invented that I've never met.
Yeah.
You know, in that kind of regard where it's like, you know, the idea of creativity, I think this is an Einstein quote. Please quote me if I'm wrong. But Einstein said creativity is the ability to hide your sources. So, like, let's say, take the 1920s. If I was a magician, I went to China and I saw all these Chinese style magic. Yeah. Then I went back to America. I would look like a lord with myself. I'd look like I came out of nowhere.
If they wouldn't burn you, like burn a witch.
that was before. That was the 1720s. I had to survive those times. Those were tough. Yeah. But it's that idea of having many sources. I've gotten inspiration from surfers. I've gotten inspiration from video games. I've gotten, you know, I want to talk about my biggest ambition.
Okay.
And what's a shame is I've talked about it to people near me. I've never really talked about it in a public place, but it's my biggest goal. I want to create a series. I watched it with the video games. Let's say you take a maxed out account and they start from beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so start from scratch series.
Okay.
So I want to do that, but in a city. So I want to take all the knowledge, because when you have a maxed out account and bring them to a new account, that knowledge doesn't go away.
Exactly.
What they know is still what they know. I want to take everything I know about being a magician, a great magician in my city. I want to take it to a brand new city for 30 days and videotape every day. And I want to call it how to be a sellout in 30 days.
To be a sellout.
But the end result is I'll find a theater out in that city and I will sell out that theater, a magic show, in 30 days or less. But I'll probably have multiple.
It's a good idea. I really like it. It's really how you pitch it and to who you pitch it, and how you do it. Because like delivery is everything. You know it.
So it was so cool. So many channels that I watch, so many vlogs that I watch. There's times I see these people, I feel like I know them.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm like, oh, if I met them, we'd be friends.
Yeah.
I want to be that person for people. I want people to know who I am without ever meeting me, to feel like, yo, if I met Cory, I know we'd click.
On that note, did you had ever like a stalker or like a weird, you know what I mean? Like a bad experience with like a viewer because they saw you, like when we walk the streets, I'm like, oh, they're like shouting your names and stuff. And first I was like, is he really that famous? And then like, oh, apparently he is.
Yo, I've walked the cities with my parents. I've walked the city with many friends, and there's certain friends that we actually know a thing.
Yeah.
That when someone's like, "What up, Cory?" And they'll see the look on my face that I don't know who they are. They'll know. I'm like, "Hey, man. Hey, my name's James. What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Tevin." I'm like, "Yo, Tevin, how'd you meet Cory?"
Yeah.
And I'm all ears because I don't remember. That happens way more than a dozen. That someone. I'll go up to someone. I'm like, "Hey, have we met you?" He's like, "Yeah, man, twice. Yesterday and the day before." I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
What happened last night?
And that's where my memory's so bad. And I'm not going to make excuses, but I have a lot of excuses.
Yeah. No,
the opposite that's so funny is there's times I'll talk to someone that I assume knows who I am. Right?
Yeah.
They'll say something. "Hey, man, yo, what's good, man?" And I'm talking for like 10 minutes, assuming that they know who I am. I just forgot who they were. And then it turns out like, "Oh, you're a magician." I'm like, "Have we never met?" It's like, "No, man, I just met you like 5 minutes ago." I'm like, I just spent 5 minutes of my life trying to like remember who you are and do this whole song
That's
and
like
dance.
a little bit backwards, kind of, like, but I get it. It's like, it makes sense. Like,
And listen, another night out with me, you'll be so surprised how like I'm really good at it now. Like when someone's like, "What's good, man? I haven't seen you forever." I'm like, "Yo, dude, good seeing you, man." And I'm just in my eyes. I'm just like, "Oh fuck, I'm lying to this person because I don't remember who they are."
oh, now we have to talk about it because you said the night out with you, and we were on the streets. We hit them streets hot, and we were like running, gunning on the streets. And you pulled up some magic tricks on the girls, and there were some beautiful girls, and they're just like, wow. So, what is your craziest girl experience?
What's not my craziest girl experience? No, man, it's all crazy because like I'll take my craziest girl experience.
Yeah, like just reaction or whatever. I don't know.
More than that.
More than that.
This is years ago. I was in downtown St. Pete, and I had these two guys. They were fucking loving it. And that's a bad description because everyone loves it.
Yeah.
They were really into it. And like, "Oh man, if you're really that good, make two blondes appear." And I'm like, "Ha blah, 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 banter, pick a card." Next thing you know, all here's Cory. These two girls with blonde hair come hugging me, and they're fucking attractive. They're so attractive. "Oh my God, what are you doing? Hey, I'm so sorry. We gotta go." And they just run off. The guys go up to me and like, "Who was that?" I'm like, "I have no idea." But I blew my own mind.
You got the street cred. That's all that
man.
matters.
You would think they were paid actors or something like that. But no, that's one of my favorite stories. Or, like I'm like, damn, what else can I do?
Yeah. Talking about fake actors, that's actually one of the things like that. I forgot the name of the TikTok magician, but basically,
Which one? They're all of them are like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really follow like that scene that much. There was one that popped up multiple times, and he's always like in a crowd on a beach pulling up a magic trick, and there's like 10 people's around, and I'm like, is it staged? Because there's always somebody like supporting the story, kind of. What is your spin on that? Is there like sometimes like helpers?
So let me say, without saying that, I think I know who you're talking about, but let's just say.
I'm not sure.
So there's actually a whole backstory. Like, so I was this consultant, one of the guys I'm thinking of. But aside that, everything on TikTok, you gotta, how they say take things with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Take it with a gallon of salt. Anything you see nowadays, believe it's not real before it's real.
Yeah. Just keep on going. I'm just getting myself.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of magicians that are hating on the way that magic's turned into that realm where people are using a lot of actors. And we've all seen stuff on videos where it's obviously stooge, but yet we still watch it. In some definition, it's still entertainment. There's always going to be that. So you can either stress about it, you could resist it, or you could just acknowledge it and accept it, that's going to be going on, and that's not actually affecting you as an artist. What other people are doing, comparison is the thief of happiness. The moment you start comparing yourself to what else is out there, you're depriving yourself of what you can do that's creative. You're depriving yourself of happiness, of what is real, and that's to me, honest, better than social media. It's in-person reactions.
Yeah, comparison is a big one nowadays, especially as a videographer. There's so many people out there, and like you're in your field, and you probably follow people who do the same thing as you do, and everybody builds their bubble, and how do you deal with that bubble is like how you deal with that? Like, how do you compare yourself and don't compare yourself?
So I'll take the latter. You don't compare yourself. Essentially, 100%. There are magicians that are way better at sleight of hand than me. There's people that are better looking than me. There's people that are taller than me. People that are funnier than me. I'll take the last one back. They're not funny. But no, there are always people that are better at certain things than you, but there's no one better at you than you. And I've always known that. I'm not gonna even bring this up because when it comes to, like, let's say magic haters.
Yeah, what is your worst magic hater experience? Like, basically trying to ruin your trick. You got something like that?
Okay, so you're talking more about the spectators. I was thinking more of magicians.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
so there's magicians that they love to hate you. They love to hate on you, and they hate to love you. So you do something good, they hate it.
Okay.
Like when really, like, they could just comment like, "Yo, man, congratulations," versus they see one thing like, "I have something to say about that."
Yeah.
When it comes to spectator haters, I'm so good at converting. Like, you can call me the Christian caviar. I'll convert them.
You shall be my fan.
The power of Cory compels you. But no, because I've dealt. There are people that one, they don't want to be duped. They don't want to be looked like a fool. Yeah. There's ones that are really religious. I've had some scary experiences with that.
I can imagine that. Like,
they think
the devil.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like, not just someone saying it, but they're like, "Yo, I gotta, take care of this devil," and I've had to get out of those. So they don't like being duped. They don't. They're religious, and maybe they've had a bad experience, or they just don't want to feel less than.
Yeah.
What's good about my magic is I do none of those things. I don't claim to be something supernatural. I don't claim that me doing this makes me better than you. I claim the same as a piano player that could play amazing songs that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You know that there's a way. You don't know how to do it, but it's because that piano player spent time doing that.
That is actually a good point. Like you said, like playing and learning the piano. How do you learn magic tricks? Because there's a scene and they don't want to show and they don't want to tell.
So, I mean, let's say back in the day.
Journey, for example, how did you do?
Well, back in the day, way before my time.
My time.
They had to read from books. They had to go to certain places where the magic clubs were, and they had to find a mentor, pay them money, and the mentor would teach them things that they learned from their mentors or books. Because that was before videos. For my time, I was lucky to have YouTube when it was at its core beginning stages. So when I learned things, it was very. It's kind of genuine. Like, I would find a channel that I liked, and I would just dissect the whole channel, and I'd find all the videos, and not everything was relevant, but I had to go through all the non-relevant stuff to get to what was good.
What is also key, because you learn so many things in the journey off,
$1,000,000%. It just sucks when you're oversaturated, though, because nowadays, if you were to go on YouTube and learn magic, you're oversaturated with the most million-viewed video that millions of other people have already seen. And it's not teaching you how to deal with people, because to be a good magician, you don't have to know good tricks. You have to be good with people, and that takes trial and error, which is my second thing. I learned the fundamentals on YouTube. Second part is trial and error, just doing it all the time. I mean, I probably repressed memories of like me looking like a fool doing tricks.
You got ever stage fright or something like that?
Well, no, we'll get to that in a moment. No, that was a funny thing. I never had stage fright, even though I probably shouldn't have been on stage. I was just a fool. If I watch videos, which maybe me and you can do on a future thing.
We can do it right now.
No, that's not right now. But we'll do a reacting to my old, like my first Vegas opening stage. I opened up for the headliner at the Paris Hotel. I have video of that. It's unlisted.
I can't imagine.
At the time, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I had to take that off the internet because I don't want people watching that thinking like, "Oh, is this who we're hiring?
We're paying for this."
But what was so cool is, so there was a comedian talking about how you have to have this like naiveness, like this dumbness to get into any art, because you're going to be young and dumb, and you're going to be stupid, but you don't want to be smart and know that you're stupid to give up.
Yeah, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So if you're a total beginner, and I had like a guy telling me like, I'm going to make a movie. I just bought a camera and I'm going to make a movie. And I'm like, your first movie will suck whatever, you know? And he's like, no, I saw all those things and I can't just do that. And I'm like, no, if you start out, you have no idea what you don't know, you know? And the Kruger effect, the less you know, the more you think you know it. And I'm like, the awakening is coming. So what was that awakening for you? Where did you, like, what was one of those moments?
You know,
and how did you push through it? Because I think that is the most important part, to just decide, no, I like that and I'm doing it.
I agree. And you know what's so cool about anything that I have to say, like, let's say if I'm making this to advice to a younger magician, what I'm actually really saying in the deep core thing is to anyone that's an artist of any sort.
Yeah.
So, you know, one big thing was I loved what I did. Yeah. I loved it. I saw the reactions. I saw how I was making the world around me a better place, and I didn't care what anyone else had to say. Granted, this is before having hindsight.
New skill unlocked. Hindsight. So, like, 2020 always better.
You know, you can see how short you are when you grow taller, you know. You know, one point you think you're top of the world, then you get taller. Like I was a shorty. So, you know, at the time I just loved it. I didn't really care what anyone else had to say. I loved it. And that was my fuel that carried me through things. And that was one of the big differences when I did start looking at my videos from the past, when I'm like, this is so cringeworthy, I can't watch it. But then there was like a year that I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. And I think it was 2020. It was a funny year because I look at my stuff from the past. I'm like, I'm jealous of that person. It's one of I was shut down.
Yeah, just like I did it.
I was traveling the country.
Yeah.
And here I'm just watching Sudoku videos.
On that note, 2020, that was a shit show. Not gonna lie. How did you deal with that?
Dude, like an opportunity.
Opportunity. So what did you do? How did you cope with it?
So let's say someone was a magician for the money.
Yeah.
Well, they're screwed.
Yeah, definitely.
I
mean, on the one side, I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus and shift gears. I do live stream everything. I was trying to contact like gyms and whatever. I'm like, hey, I make you a live stream, and I bought all that gear, and that's how I learned like podcasting and everything. What was good for me, but I'm like, nobody booked me, and I'm like, god damn.
This might be an extreme exaggeration, but imagine me doing magic is like drinking water that you need to do it. Like you need, like not like I want to. No, I needed to fulfill a certain part of me to make people's day. So I would do live streams on Facebook. I'd be like, hey, listen, if anyone wants me to jump on a video call with you guys while you guys are also bored, it gives me pleasure, and it would give me money. Like I didn't ask any. There's no price for it.
No. How long? Talking about the live stream or whatever. You had this. What was this? Harry Mack freestyle rap 2 years ago. That's actually that, oh?
Yeah, so Harry Mack is the best prime example.
Let's switch right to it, and we can talk over it. And here we go.
So let me give a little backstory briefly.
Okay.
So this was January 7th, 2021. Every New Year, I always like doing two things. I like writing my goals, and I like writing a letter to my future self. We'll get to that second part.
It is a good habit, I think.
So one of my goals was I want to meet Harry Mack. I've been watching his live streams.
Harry Mack, actually.
Harry Mack, when they say a goat, when I say goat, you know,
I know
greatest of all time. He's literally, anyone that has seen his stuff, they will agree he's the greatest of all time at what he does. He's a freestyle rapper. You give him 3 words and he's a magician, man. He does a lot of Omegle stuff, but you'll see people like that are just like this, and by the end of it, they're like that.
Yeah.
The transformation of energy, the energy in that person, when he goes off to the next Omegle person, that person's day is transformed.
Yeah, so Omegle is like, for people who don't know, it's actually like a live stream with a swipe feature, basically.
Yeah.
You kind of see it. You can't stay for a person, but they can swipe or you can swipe.
And so initially no one knew who he was, but now when he's on Omegle, people are like, oh my God, it's Harry Mack. I've seen you on TikTok.
Yeah. And this is like really cool content, but I'm scared about that side because sometimes you see stuff.
Hey, listen, if we're going to be working together, we're going to have to do Omegle. We're going to have to see a lot of D to get to the magic video, because we can do that.
Gotta blur this one, gotta blur that one.
We'll just edit that out in post. You know, we won't live stream that. No.
Yeah, that's one way to get banned.
But yeah, we could actually make content like that. I'd actually really like to do it with you. But
so let's jump right into it. So what is?
So yeah, I wanted to meet him, and I've been watching stuff, and I did the damn thing. What I mean by that is I did the steps to maybe get chosen.
Yeah.
Which is like you have to go on this certain thing on what's that one platform? Discord. Discord.
Yeah, Discord.
So I was on a certain Discord platform, and I was just doing magic to people in the waiting room, and you were from a lottery that you get picked. I never got picked, but I kept entertaining the room every time I went on. Yeah. Eventually, one of his guys reached out, like, hey man, he'll make you a special guest. And this is like 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
I had to wake up at like 8 in the morning. I had the message at 8 in the morning, and I had so.
Yeah, let's roll it.
Let's roll it, man.
You are truly incredible, man. Do you have more tricks? I don't want to cut you short. Do you have more tricks, or am I doing a freestyle?
Yeah, I'm the first magician ever on here to do a set with him where I didn't give him words. He would do freestyles to my raps. Since then, I've had my friend Chris Michael and Neil Henry, who are great magicians. They were following me that slated during the pandemic. But they did stuff after me, following me. I'm not going to say because of me, but...
oh, shit. I mean, you always can and maybe had an impact. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not here to compare. But but I was the first one to do a thing where he thought I was going to give him words. I'm like, no, I'm going to do magic and you're going to freestyle to my magic. Yeah. So let's run it.
Let's run it. Let's play it.
I want to do some stuff during your rap.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's even better. All right. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let me drop a beat then.
Okay.
We'll do this. Live collaboration. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
Hey. Does this work? Okay.
Little time delay.
Okay. All right. Oh my God. Oh, I'm too dope with the flows. He just made a cigarette disappear in his nose. Wait, that cannot be possible. Is it really stuck
way up in your nostril?
Hey yo, y'all know that I'm rhyming sick. I'm pretty sure that's dangerous for your sinuses. Hey yo, y'all know I drop lyrics in your ear. I'm reflecting kinda like your tie made of mirrors. Yeah, he switch it around. He got the lighter, it's ready. Yeah, you know that his tricks are all heavy. Oh shit, he's lighting it up. Now he's ready to smoke. Wait, you got that thing backwards. You must be a joke. H-Mac, hey yo, he's flipping it, rips it up in his mouth. I'm about to take you up on a magical route. Yeah, I be out here rapping, rhyming. He pulls it out the deck like the jack of diamonds. And y'all know that I'm out here flexing from the top. He's gonna drop him and then he's gonna catch him. Wait a second, hey yo, that trick there was different. Cause the card's just there to defy the laws of physics. Hey yo, you know right now Cory is rolling. How they stay up in the same position you ain't holding. Don't make no sense. Almost look like they connected. Every time you do a trick, my soul is affected. Yeah, and now he's got like 4 different.
On that note, though, like copyright, I'm so worried.
No, this isn't copyright.
It's not copyright.
Not at all. This is all original material.
God damn, we gotta listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. No, I was gonna ask you this. Is there a way that we can have our faces
vivid? I have to set it up, and I have the camera on the wrong port, So
all good. And then also, I gotta use the restroom. So if you want to play the rest of this,
no worries. If you can make a little quick break.
Stacks and he's shuffling in different directions. That's to the max, okay. And he can do all of that with one hand and flip it to the other side when it's unplanned. That's the 13 of diamonds.
Pause
Is that what it says?
Okay.
Wait a second, that card.
I've got a great story about that.
Tell me, what's the story behind?
So I know you asked us some really cool questions, like the biggest magic haters. So this actually was my biggest triumph story that I've shared a couple times. I was younger, maybe like 7 years ago.
Yeah. I
was walking down the streets of downtown St. Pete. It was like 2:30 in the morning. The clubs were closed down. I had this one group that was loving my magic.
Yeah.
And this one drunken guy comes walking up all drunkenly and skeptic-like. And, they're like, hey, just watch one of his tricks. Watch one of his tricks. I'm like, all right, yeah, name any card out loud. He's like, I'm like, no, just name a card out loud. He's like, 13 of diamonds. And everyone else is like, nah, man, that's not a card. I'm like, whoa, stop, guys. Watch. Because in that deck, that day, I happen to have a 13 of diamonds card in that deck. A fake gaff card.
Yeah.
It was a 13 of diamonds.
Prepared as you should.
Well, I mean, I wasn't that prepared because I didn't know he was going to say that. I just happened to have it. And so I do this thing. It's called a Magic Force. I don't think I'm giving away too much.
Yeah, Magic Force. Okay.
Where I can make someone grab a card that I want them to. So, and that's not giving too much away. Just watch any video on YouTube.
Well, never mind.
So
you did some magic.
He got magician. So he was reaching over to grab a card, and I'm trying to force him one card. He just drunkenly snatches out 2 on accident. They were side by side. They happen to be the 10 of diamonds and the 3 of diamonds. Ooh. I'm like, name any cards. Like 13 of diamonds. And everyone's like, no. I'm like, no, grab a card. And he snatches out 2 cards. It was a 10 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds. I couldn't be prepared for that.
Yeah.
I had to pull my inner David Blaine to be like staring at him. Because if I freak out, everyone else doesn't know what to do. Yeah. But I'm freaking out inside that he grabbed out the 10 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds. But then, he looked like he saw a ghost. Then I take those 2 cards and I turn it into an actual 13 of diamonds. And that guy ended up being one of my biggest fans.
Damn.
Later on. And it goes to show that people that are hard to impress or that are making it difficult, they're the ones who need to be impressed with. The ones that are hardest to love are the ones who need love the most. So that's like one of those things. When I come across someone that's trying to make it difficult for me, I realize I've handled this so many times in the past. They need love. They need something that I can give them to make them feel validated, make them feel impressed, make them feel on top of the world. And by the end of it, they'll have my back to the end.
Yeah, and I mean, that is also like very wholesome because like you're right with that because like they need that, and it's like
the world
people
needs
are not
that.
bad people usually. Even the bad ones are not really bad. They just like need somebody to
Everyone
love them.
needs a dose of feeling like anything's possible. They need a dose of
Magic.
restoration of humanity. You know,
Yeah,
holding
being
the
a
door
kid
open
again.
for someone. You know, even just like small things like complimenting someone's shirt in the walk. And again,
By the way, the drip is really good.
but like so like you know, I love that when you could like compliment someone and then you keep walking. You don't get their name, you don't get their number, you don't get them to subscribe to you. You're doing these like almost drive-bys of kindness. Now
You get a compliment. You get a compliment, and you get a compliment.
now the one thing I hate too is I hate Vegas.
Vegas?
Yeah, this actually might be its own little thing.
Okay, let's whip it out. What's wrong with Vegas? Now I'm kind of
So,
curious.
out of every city in the nation that I've been to Vegas more than every single one of them.
Yeah.
And
Gambling? Do you do that?
I, let's pass.
We found a woo
Pass
spot.
on to the next one. No, so I literally hate Vegas the most because it's the most disingenuine place that I've been to where there's so much going on, whether it's gambling, whether it's, you know, them trying to sell you on drinks, girls, drugs, whatever. But what I hate the most is how desensitized people are to kind gestures. Because you'll be walking in Vegas, someone's like, "Hey man, I like your jacket." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So, "Hey man, come over here, come here. I gotta sell these tickets." Or like everything isn't out of the kindness of the heart. There's always a catch. 99% of the time, if a hot girl comes up to you and is like, "Oh my god, you're so interesting,"
Yeah, the first time it's nice.
they're
like,
a prostitute.
You get your heart broken. Like, you're getting attention.
I knew. I'm like, girls don't hit on me like that. So like, you obviously are working.
You're
But
working.
like, even you see the girls with the nice pretty feathers, the showgirls they call them. They walk the street, and I remember one of them. They complimented my tie, which is a great fucking tie.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm like, "Hey, we should get a photo." I'm like, "All right, I'll take a photo for you guys." Almost like I'm doing them a favor.
Yeah.
So we take a photo, and they're like, "All right, yeah." So just like, no, we charge the photos. I'm like, "All right, I got you." I pull out a $5 bill. They're like, "Whoa. Like, no, we're at least 20. I'm like, "Oh, ooh. All right, well, here's 20. He's like, no, we're at least 20 each. I'm like, I'm like, "Lady, I've only got 20 to give, and you guys can rip this in half if you want." But it's all a scam out there. They have to hustle hard to survive, and it takes away from genuine interaction.
Human interaction, yeah. That is like one of my things where I'm like, okay, America. Like when I came from Germany to America, that was the coolest thing. Like everybody's like so open. Hey, how's it going? You know, that's the standard phrase. It's the hi. In Germany, you just say hello. You know.
I was in Texas. They said howdy to me once. I'm like, "What?" He said howdy.
Yeah, but it's like that openness, and then just like, hey, I throw something out there. You can react to it if you want to, so you get the small talk, or you don't. And that's like the thing I really like about America. Like everybody's like open.
Is it not like that in Germany?
No, everybody's like really like cold and like
Reminds me of LA.
yeah. You maybe say hi. You know,
LA is kind of like that. They just have headphones in and it's not connected to anything. They're just like walking by all stoic.
City style, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm that's the thing that I like the genuine human interaction where people are like, hey, I give you a compliment, no reason at all. Like Rachel does that. She's like giving people compliments. I'm like, that's the thing you can do here. And I'm like, yeah, good
That's
thing.
really like it sucks to be like, I don't want to bring like girls into this, but like, let's say a girl gets a compliment from a guy. How
often?
No,
do they
but like,
get it?
how often is it genuine?
Yeah.
Versus some guy that actually has an ulterior motive.
Yeah,
And
big
you know,
time.
granted, there are guys out there that give genuine compliments without any compensation, and I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Let me make that a point that there are guys that are not there for ulterior motives, but the percentile, it's almost like when Vegas, someone comes up to you and gives you a compliment, they have ulterior motives. But as a girl, it's like, I can imagine it's difficult to decipher between like someone that's just being kind and they're gonna keep walking, you'll never get their name again, versus like what's your intention?
Yeah, and that is like a weird thing. There's like always something behind it, especially nowadays. And let's talk about that because that kind of segues into like people trying to get like a right to a bigger celebrity, for example, and like or like you know that type of stuff. There's a lot of like how do you call that? Like everybody's like trying to get ahead in the game. You know,
clout.
like
I think clout might be a word.
yeah, cloud chasers and whatever. You know, and there is that, and there's also a genuine way of doing it. You know, and you met some big people. How do you meet people?
You know, I know how to segue this so well. So, one of the coolest people in the sense of drivenness that I've met was Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
So so the question is Logan Paul really a good person? Like when you meet him?
No, I don't know.
He is, man. He's so hospitable. Now, granted, when I met him, he was not where he's at now. He's somehow layers above where he was, and he was already up there back then. But when I met him, he had his own estate, and you had to like sign a waiver to get in. And when I was there, he was so hospitable. I was like, "Hey, man, anything I could do to help you, man? What do you need? I got a comfortable chair for you, man. You want some food? How can I make your time here with me awesome?"
Yeah.
And then, the stuff he would say to the whole collective was like, "All right, guys, let's get this bread. let's get this bread." So he's so driven, so he had a certain, almost like you'd want from a best friend. You'd want someone that has that kind of drive. You'd want someone that has that charm. He's got a charm to him.
Definitely. You gotta. I mean, like, he's on TV, movies, everything. But
if you were, let's say you were to reset Logan Paul, where you brainwash him, where he forgot, all of that, and then he just was who he was, he would probably get right back on top because his personality, his ambition, and there's something about his aesthetic, his presence.
First look, everything. All that stuff is like really important. But it's like so hard. Like, do you have like a plan or like a way of like, hey, I should do this and that to meet like a person, or you kind of don't, or it's just luck, or because like there's always some sort of strategy involved in life,
Let's throw luck in with being prepared when opportunity strikes. So, the way I met Logan Paul was luck, but I was segueing off another great, and I was someone who I probably should have mentioned, consultant that you've seen, probably the video that you're talking about. Super viral millionaire magician online. He might have curly hair, Jewish, might be his name.
Could be. I'm not sure. Like, I saw the videos like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, it's so hard to remember. His name might
rhyme with Julius Reen, but Julius
I don't know.
Okay, but take that aside of it. But I was hanging out with Julius Reen. I was consulting for him out in LA. I've also consulted with him out in Cuba. That was amazing. Did Vegas. That was amazing. But we were in LA. And sometimes to get to some of those big names, you have to segue from another connection that you're connected towards.
Yeah.
But
there's a genuine way of doing stuff, and there's like an ungenuine way of doing stuff. Some people are like stabbing other people in the back, and that's like what you never should do
because you'll never
karma comes around. But some people do that. They just like, I just need that one client to get that client. So in the videographer world, people are trying to steal clients, for example.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, but I'm like, in any or every industry, there's those people doing that thing, and I'm like, there's a genuine.
They won't
way.
make it far.
Yeah,
they won't make it
what
far.
I think.
Longevity is a huge thing when you have someone that's repeat. Because let's say you have a repeat client. Well, maybe since the last time we saw a client, they're more, they're bigger, and so when you see them again, they're excited about you, no matter where you're at. Yeah. They're bigger. They want to bring you to bigger places. Kind of like that pond mentality I was bringing up. When you're a fisherman, when you know a couple good fishermen, they're like, hey, there's a new pond that's happening over here, new party event that all the greatest fishermen are going to be at.
Yeah.
I know I have so many segues.
I'm like, you could go anywhere with that, to be honest, because like talking about the pond, like there's always like, when I'm like there's like Ryan, the Tampa Bay photographer, he's like one of the big in the videographer world here in St. Petersburg. There's like a couple people that you always see at certain events, you know what I mean? Like they always get booked, and I'm just like,
I feel like that's kind of a me for match.
Yeah, but I'm just like, damn.
Something I was gonna throw into the mix. Actually, hold on, I gotta backtrack.
Backtrack. We're going 5 ways.
We got a whole tree branch. You have to like dissect this whole video like Black Mirror. No. Trying to remember. Here's actually one really cool mantra that I always have for myself. I always remember what I forget.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those moments where you forget something?
Yeah, I always hate that because
I
it comes
always
back
remember what I forget.
time.
And it always comes back. It comes to me at always the right time in the coolest ways. I think I had to do. Oh, I remember. Got it.
Nice.
All right. The segue I was going to bring up Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
Number one pop star. You know who he is.
Yeah.
You might have heard of him.
Big time. Like, yeah, it's like one of the. I think he makes the most money with live concerts.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Do you know his origin story?
No.
So when he came to America, he was out in LA. He had a connection, kind of like you're talking. Sometimes you need good connections to get someplace. He was out in LA, but he would perform at like his music at comedy clubs or rap battles or country places.
How does that fit together? But hey, yeah,
that's
why
the
not?
part. You got to stand out. Ooh. So, for me, I have the same thing. I get hired for the #1 skateboard competition global. It happens in Tampa, called Tampa Pro.
Tampa Pro. I like
and
that.
hey, if you want to come, it's coming first week of March, which we'll talk about that later on too.
Okay.
So I've got to meet the greatest magicians on earth. I'm talking like Olympic top level skateboarders. I've got to meet them. They think I'm a legend because I'm at a place where I'm the only magician at a skateboard competition. I've gone to FetCon, which is like a fetish convention. I'm the best magician at a fetish convention. I'm also the only magician. But like
pulling some tricks there.
Oh, that's a whole story in itself. But the concept of putting yourself where you're the only of your kind in a realm where there's a lot of hierarchy. You know, there's a lot of like, let's say if I got a RuneScape fest, you know, and I'm the only magician.
Yeah, on that note, are you a gamer?
I follow a lot of gaming. Okay. I follow RuneScape at least.
Okay, gotcha.
I've actually got a lot of inspiration from RuneScape, but
I'll make your gold disappear.
Yeah. Buying GF, 30K.
Cheap.
But yeah, so I've been at places where I'll put my magic in places that it should not be at. Like I almost want to go to a chess tournament, like a global chess tournament, as a magician, where everyone is all nervous and, oh my God, that's Magnus Carlsen. I'm like, who?
This is actually a really good strategy because, like, for me as a videographer, there's like so many people around who do videography because it's a new hip thing to do because cameras are like more affordable now and everybody does it. And only the best out of the best kind of make it like full time, you know, and everybody wants to be on YouTube, be a YouTuber. So everybody pushes in that direction. But as a magician, I'm like, is your market that competitive? How often you get that feeling like, there's another one?
There's enough meat on the bone for everyone.
Yeah.
The world's a big place that, you know, I can imagine some other magician people might hate on me doing all these gigs. It's like, oh man, that's a gig that I could have. No, you guys had no access to these people. The world's big. Stop focusing on my path and realize that you're going to have people in your path that I'm never going to come across.
Yeah.
That the moment you're worried about my lane, you're not driving yours. And there's so many ways to make money as a magician or any artist. Let me name drop a few.
Yeah, whip it out.
So, in the beginning, my origin story, I got really, really lucky. But the luck came from me meeting someone on the street in St. Pete. My first time ever out there, I was like 18, bumped into a guy. Instead of saying, watch where you're going, I'm like, hey, let me show you a trick. He's like, hey, take my card. I'm going to be important for you one day. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
9 months later, I ended up quitting my job, a safe warehouse job, you know, great money for an 18-year-old, easy job. But I quit because it's so much same stuff, different day, with no side of a landing pad. It's not like I quit the job for another one.
That is a scary path to take, you know, like doing the jump, like let's try this thing full time.
And it's easy to quit a job when you like, oh, I have another job lined up.
Or savings or whatever.
Yeah.
What was your situation on that? But after that, I guess.
So I had nothing, and I was dating a girl at the time, and I was trying to get her a job at Buffalo Wild Wings right by my house. She wanted to be a host.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
So the way that we approached it was instead of just getting an application and sending in, we were like, oh, let's at least go eat there.
Yeah.
So we brought her sister. She's there. I'm there. We're sitting at this big table, and the servers come up real friendly. I'm like, hey, let me show you a trick. You know, show her some tricks. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Stacy, come on over. You got to see his magic trick. Stacy's like, oh, my God. Next thing, Amanda's like, what's going on? I'm like, hey, well, you can pick a card.
Pick a card.
And he's blown away, and he's like, oh, my God. And I'm like, yeah, we're trying to apply for a job. Well, not me, her. She's trying to become a host. And she's like, all right, she's got the job. What are you doing every Friday and Saturday?
That's how you got it.
My first ever magic residency was just by being a person, being a patron, and giving people good times. That was not my plan to get a job at. Yeah. Not even a job. I was booked by Buffalo Wild Wings. So ironically, that same day, I'm walking out of Buffalo Wild Wings. My phone's ringing. I get a call from that guy I met 9 months ago.
Yeah.
In St. Pete.
And
he's like, hey man, there's a venue out in South Howard, Tampa called The Lodge. They are looking for a magician every Thursday.
Okay. So that's a reoccurring gig. That's what you kind of want.
Yeah, talk about a coincidence. So I left my job 2 days later. I get a job at Buffalo Wings just by, being me. And I'm walking out the door and I'm getting a call for Thursday. So I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was $75 a night for 3 hours each. But I was getting a massive, massive tip. So that's the second part about being a magician. One thing is find a residency.
Yeah.
If you're starting up of any career, find a residency that they book you every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But then, if you get tips, that's just bonus income. Don't ever include that in your income. That tips are just...
Don't listen to him, IRS.
Oh, God, yeah. So, yeah, tips, you can't expect them. If you walk away and you make no tips and you're upset, I've had
happens.
No, it's not even a bad thing. Doesn't mean anything bad. Some of the best things happen invisibly. You know, like
when you steal their pocket.
I mean, I can segue to Mike Evans right now. I pickpocketed Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Damn.
All right, let's do it. Let's
do
segue.
it. Well, you kind of made the segue anyways, but I mean, like,
What's funny, I have all these notes on my phone. You have not. We haven't talked about any of my notes on the phone. You're hitting all the notes on my phone.
I mean, there's a couple interesting things where I'm like, how does that work as a magician? You know, you have so much, you know, things you kind of prepare beforehand. You know, like you meet somebody, you're already probably like, I probably prepare for this trick just in case, or.
Without a doubt, man. And what I do is never a cookie cutter. My biggest skill is my ability to assess a group or a scenario and adapt towards it and create an improv freestyle out of it. So with all that conversation, I was at a giant charity event. There must have been over $1 billion in that event. They were all multimillionaires. And here's me in like a oversized suit, not looking with my hair.
Doing my thing.
I probably should have got my hair cut and my beard trimmed. I don't know. But here I am doing my great magic at this, you know, millionaire charity event. It's for the Chris Godwin Foundation.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin's a Tampa Bay Bucks player. At this time, I didn't really know anything about sports ball.
I'm still bad with sports.
Well, so I've learned since. So I'm at Chris Godwin's foundation. He's one of the best Bucks players, along with Mike Evans. So when I meet Mike Evans, I don't know who he is. I just see this, you know, a very tall guy, really nice suit. But to me, I just see him as a guy. I'm not getting starstruck because I have no idea who he is. I do my joke that I always do, is, and I pull up my wallet from my back pocket. I'm like, by the way, I want to give this back to you. And I put my wallet in their hands. And everyone else goes, oh my God, he got your wallet. And then a few seconds go by until they go, that's not my wallet. And that's the joke. Because my mentality is, it's not what you say. People don't remember what you say or what you did. They always remember how you made them feel. Yeah. So if I can make them feel for a split second,
confused,
I just took that person's wallet. They feel that, they remember that. Yeah. Well, there's a rumor at my event that I was working that I pickpocketed Mike Evans.
But you didn't. But
I didn't deny it either. Valet guy's like, yo, man, I heard you took Mike Evans' wallet. I'm like, what of it? I'll take my card out.
Well, that's a good move too. You know, you don't have to lie if people assume stuff.
Exactly.
You know,
so
just let them guess.
There's a big thing called it's like a memory biasness. It's like people remember things differently than what actually happened. And I've had times where I'll perform for someone, and then they'll tell their friend that walked up about what I did to him, and they'll say it in a way that's
like 5 times better or whatever. And
I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah, and you shouldn't.
And they say it with such confidence. It's not like they're lying. You know, it's like they really believe it. They have a different memory bias of it. Yeah. And that's a lot of things in life, too. It's like you got to remember, people remember how they feel about something. So, like, let's say you drop something and someone, hey, I got you. Yeah. You never see them again. Like, even though it's not a conscious thought, you think about that person, but like, wow, there's kindness in this world. Yeah. To be that kindness when you can be, to be that person who holds the door, even if it's like you're standing there for extra or a couple people walk in, you're just still standing there. Let's say someone doesn't say thank you. Good, whatever. You're not there for the thank you. Yeah. To be a good person, I think, is what makes a good magician. To really care for someone else's well-being and to make someone feel the squinting in their eyes, the cheekbones popping out, that, wow, anything's possible. Wow, I can't wait to tell my friends and family about this later, and they have something really positive to talk about to their friends and family. To be that person, you don't have to know card tricks to be that person. Yeah. To just, you know, crack a joke, not even like crack a joke. You don't have to be funny. Just be different.
Yeah, I think that is a good
be in the moment is the best thing I'll say. Be in the moment.
Yeah, be in the moment and being yourself. Like that is like one of those things where I'm like, if you're truly yourself, it is like a superpower in a weird way. You know, like you kind of you people are not at their top level only when they're like really, really happy and really in the moment. Then they become truly themselves. And when they are, then you're like, okay, I understand this person. I can relate. I can trust them. But if they hold back and they're getting weird, you know, and then like something is up. What is up? And then you misread them, you know. But you're the best in that version if you're 100%.
Do you ever have off days?
Off days? What do you mean?
Like off days, like where you're just like you don't feel 100%. Like
sometimes, yeah.
How do you handle it when you're feeling off? Like.
So here's an interesting thing. I had a gig where I got booked, you know, and my other videographer. So I basically set up like I have a VR headset there, and I made a 360 world on the VR headset, and I got booked for an event. Basically, I have to display like an art event, and I made a custom world for them, and people could wear that headset, look around, and there's custom art, you know. but somebody had to explain to the people, set that thing up, and do that. I couldn't do it myself. The guy canceled on me. I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Not show up? I'm like, no, I can't do that. But I'm not paid yet. I have to show up, get paid, yada yada, and like, and it's also my, I have to perform, or people will be like, oh yeah, Fitz didn't show up. I'm like, back and forth. Should I drive there? It's an hour and a half coming up with excuses, not trying to do it. Sounds not weird, but I was like in the car. I'm like, okay, let's listen to Kanye West. Pump it. Some power songs. Like something where you stroke your ego just in the right way, because he's full of himself in a way. And
he's got enough for the rest of us.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you kind of get into the mood then. You're just like, yeah, I got this. No matter if the guy is with me or not. Oh, my girl can come and she helped me out. I'm like, she saved the day basically. I was like there setting up alone, no idea how that will work. And she's like, hey, I'm coming over with a coworker. I'm like, praise the Lord. Basically, she came clutch. And I'm like, I just showed up and everything turned out. And I'm like, I did not even know the thing that I made, if it was good enough, And I'm just like, afterwards, I'm like, damn, I made it happen,
There's a quote from my favorite book called The Alchemist. It says, the fear of suffering is worse than suffering itself. So like the things that go on in our mind.
That's a good one. I like that.
The things that go on in our mind might almost paralyze us to not even attempt something. When really, if we just do it, it's not as bad as we thought. Yeah. Sometimes the gigs that I'm like, whether I'm just...
Yeah, what is your nightmare story and how you get out of it?
So, like, ironically, there's times it happens more than it doesn't, where, like, I'm not really feeling this gig, like, maybe, like...
Yeah, or the people, or whatever.
No, before I get there.
Yeah.
Before I get there, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh... I'm looking at the details of it, I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be a drainer more than it is going to be exciting. Yeah. Then I get there, and it always changes my mentality. Like, that's usually the best events. When I'm feeling the most reluctant is when it surprises me. And so I know that I've gotten myself out of the stickiest situations in the past.
So you're a lucky person like me.
Yeah. I think there's something about like when you're good at your craft, like you're actually
there's always a way to wiggle yourself out there.
Yeah, your brain thinks you're this, but you actually are that. So like you actually will work your way into it to make it work.
Yeah, I feel that 100%.
But I've had a lot of off days too where like what's funny though, my like 30% when I feel off, if I'm at 30% instead of 120, which I like to be at, if I'm at 30%, that's other people's normal.
Yeah.
Like me being at 30%, they're like, Cory, like, I don't stop being in your head. Like, you're just being like the rest of us. I'm like, I don't like being like you guys. I like being above and beyond.
What is a good mindset to have, but also like, yeah. But it's a weird thing because you cannot relate sometimes to other people because other people, there's so much pain and suffering in there. And I'm like, I personally feel like I'm doing a good job separating myself from the news and all that, negative news. And I'm like, I always have a side hustle going, like printing my lens holders and stuff like that, or doing the video stuff. Like, there's always something going on, never being bored. But some people are just like, okay, I'm like depressed, and they get drowned down. So how do you deal with stuff?
So, I mean, for the most part, I feel like I have a really good consciousness in the sense of like, I know how to shock myself out of that state. For the most part, like, how do I word this? Like, sometimes all it takes is one good interaction for me to be in an off state to get me to on top of the world again. Like, so, I might do those things where I walk down the city and I'll just make eye contact with people. There are certain days when I feel off where like everyone's like looking the other way. I'm like, well, let me just take my jacket off then.
Yeah.
Or let me take the tie off. Or let me change something about me so that in my brain I feel like something's changed. And then people are like, hey man, I like your chin. Or like, I'm making things up now. But sometimes all it takes is like, let's say I'm doing a group and this whole group's about like trying to call me out.
Yeah.
Oh no, you did this, nah, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't eat that. I go to the next group. If there's a way that it can consume me where the next group, they're going to be the same people. And then the next group, they're like that too.
So now I'm thinking like, here's me now thinking about you being a salesperson. The people who knock on the doors and like trying to sell you the solar, the ring, whatever. They're getting hundreds of no's. They're just like, the more yeses they become, the bigger the paycheck. I'm just like, that alone is the same thing. And like keeping the mentality going to still knock the next door is a game changer. How you deal with that?
I love that metaphor because imagine this concept. And instead of me knocking door to door,
It's like groups. You're like saying hi and whatever.
metaphorically the same thing. But instead of going door to door, let's say I have leads. Let's say I'm going to this door that they want solar, so I'm knocking on their door. Like, hey, I'm the solar guy. You guys want solar?
Yeah.
So when I'm out in public, I can almost get a read of a group, and I can see who wants to be entertained. Now imagine this. Imagine like, let's say everyone door to door, everyone's like, no. But let's say I have this one neighbor that really wants solar, and then I saw them, and they're jumping with joy.
Yeah.
The neighbor's like, what the fuck is Tim and Jenna jumping with joy?
Yeah.
And then I look at her, hey, I'm here to
Sell you
give
whatever.
give you what they just got. So that's the same with my magic. There's sometimes I have to read the room, and I have to go to the right person first. Once they're excited, imagine you're sitting with your friends.
Yeah.
And if I went up to you, you would have said no, but I go up to them first, and they're fucking smiling. They're having,
And then they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So instead of like think of door to door, think about reading leads, reading the people that are going to be the fuelers of your flame, and once you get them, so
it's beautiful metaphor. Like you're starting a fire, like you need the kindling first.
So one tactic. So this is for all the magicians that are watching that want to be magicians or artists. When I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings or Applebee's as a magician, I would do this thing when I'd show up. There'd already be people seated. I would do one lap around the whole restaurant. I wouldn't say hello to anyone. I would just walk around. I'm kind of subconsciously picking up, like details of who's acknowledging me. I'll
and how
walk
they
by
respond and
without me saying a word. I'm kind of picking that up. But I make one big lap, so everyone is just seeing me, and I walk around with peacock, and I have my mirror tie, and then I go up to the first one that I get a sense of that's gonna be good. So when I approach someone, it's not like. When I do approach them, it's not like a stranger's walking up to them. They've already made an assessment about me. They've already made eye contact with me. So when I walk up to them again, it's the second time they see me. The bridge has already been built. And then once I get them, the bridge starts to spread. Now the people nearby, they want to see me. But I'm going to go over in the other side of the room, get them. And now I have time to go back to them over there. I don't like being in the same vicinity.
So you don't go to circle, let's say, like,
no.
1, 2, 3. So
do one thing and then I'll just walk off. They're like, wait, what about us? I'm like, I'll come back to you.
That's actually a good point, too, because you would assume, oh, now he's making the round, so I will be next. What are going to do? Do you want to
Or if I'm walking by, like, I'm not missing him again, I'm going to stop him.
Yeah.
Some of the best magic that I ever get to do is when someone comes up to me. I can go up to anyone. I have this ability that I can go up to anyone. But when someone's like, hey, man, can you show my friend some magic?
Yeah.
They're already like
in the mood, prepared.
Yeah. And at that point, my magic, it could be the same tricks that I would do to anyone else. It's already that much more elevated because their anticipation is that much higher. It's like, let's say you keep hearing about the magician. You keep hearing about it. Then I come up to you. Your excitement is already elevated. And magic is only as good as people watching. If you suck as a human being... My magic's gonna suck. But if you're an amazing human being, like imagine them freaking out, like I'm blind. I'm like, I would have never guessed. Like, but they were just that amazing. Magic is only as good as people watching.
Yeah, happiness comes from within, and you're basically just amplifying them. Then I guess
it's weird, man. Like I don't really know the words to put it to make it formal, but like. I do something with energy. Like I'm able to see energy in a room. I'm able to be an artist of energy. I'm able to make, and then by the end of it, it's so cool. The end magical moment is when everyone kind of feels like they know each other because they've all had that common denominator of meeting.
Yeah,
something that they can talk to. Hey, you met the magician? Like, yeah, he pulled my card in my back pocket. It's like, oh my god, he pulled it out of my dick. I don't know if this.
Yikes! That probably hurts.
But all right, I think this is also another great segue.
Yeah. On that note, what is the hottest magic trick besides pulling a card out of a wiener?
I think it's when you make someone. In the present moment, you make someone feel, you make someone forget about tomorrow's problems or yesterday's worries, and you make them see. It's almost like a state shock where they're able to see the magic that's around them at all times. And it's like the tricks I do are tricks, but I mean, granted, now there's times it blows my mind. I'm like, how the fuck did I do it? But my favorite thing is when I get to improv and make something up on the fly where I'm on the ride. I'm on the roller coaster with you guys.
It's like Tony Hawk when you played Pro Skater and you building that combo. Yeah. How long and how big can I make it?
Yeah, and for me, it's I'm here with you guys. We're creating this roller coaster together, and what you feel is what I'm feeling.
Yeah. On that note, though, you said something at Tampa Pro, whatever.
Tampa Pro, yeah.
So what's going on with that?
So the coolest thing, man. I used to be a skateboarder back in the day.
I too. I had a booster board. I had like a regular skateboard. Never could do tricks. I don't know about you.
I was quite good.
Okay.
I mean, I can even pull up some videos of me. That's pretty good.
Got a kickflip and everything going.
Kickflip.
Oh, that's basic.
Oh man, I was doing switch hard flips down stair sets, bro.
Damn.
I was doing fakey bigger flips and shit.
Okay, that's what's
but
up.
so skateboarding was a big part of my passion growing up, and I think that's a big part of my personality growing up. You know, that when I was a teenager, I was able to meet different age groups because skaters, you don't look at someone's, oh, you're a senior, you're a sophomore, I'm better than you because I'm a senior. It's like, no, we look at each other as
community.
You know, as a community. Like, you might be younger, but man, I see you slaying it.
Yeah. Cool
So,
trick. Keep going.
I learned that at a young age in high school, because in high school it's very hierarchy kind of mentality. But as a skater, so again, I got to really make skateboarding part of my life. And then when I got hired for like Tampa Pro, I would have gone there on my own just for funsies.
Yeah. That's the benefit. Like you're the professional now. You get booked for the fun things. I'm like, hang out here. And
I was gonna pay to get in, but what do you mean I'm getting paid to get in? Yeah, and again, I got to meet some of the idols, the best in the world. When I talk about Olympic skateboarders, the Olympic, not just America. I'm talking about like Japan's, the one that won it. They think I'm legend.
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Just like, of course.
No, I mean I have to like, yeah, what's up? But I get shaky at those times. I'm like, oh my god, the guy that was on my wall when I was 13, he's watching me.
Gotta perform. Gotta do it.
So something rad too. So Tampa Pro is happening the first weekend of March. What's also happening the first weekend of March is my next stage show.
Oh, wait a minute. That means you have to fight over
No.
Like
What's ironic is the guy that runs skate park at Tampa. He's like, hey man, let me know about your next show. We'll run deep.
Okay.
But it's also during the same time as Tampa Pro. I think what he means is more like off season. So like we'll get all of Tampa people out. But if I had my next stage show March, the first weekend of March, if I had all the best skateboarders in the world, I'd have the best I'd have the best magic stage show that in existence.
Yeah, that would be a big event too. Like it would be a good networking event. Good like in general, just performance and whatever.
So that's, you hit the nail on the head. My favorite thing about my stage shows, I've been doing them about like 6 years. I used to do them every 2 to 3 months. I took like a whole year and a half off.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about my stage shows, it's the best networking because I've met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to pat myself on the head for that.
Yeah, no, you did a good job. Like the Andrew Schultz one, he's popping up now with his podcast and super funny. How did that work out? How did you meet that guy?
It was the opportunity of the pandemic, man. I actually never knew who he was, but I had someone that listened to him saying that he's doing a thing called Corona's Got Talent.
Corona Got Talent.
As I type this up, you can find it on YouTube if you want.
Yeah, on your channel, you mean?
Yeah, if you type in Andrew Schultz or Cory Van Valin.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about it as you do it if you want.
Yeah, please. Segue for me. I'm need a little bit of help.
But yeah, so I've never heard of Andrew Schultz, and I got a call from a buddy that I haven't talked to in years. Like, hey man, he's doing a thing called Corona's Got Talent. That, you know, it's a live stream on Instagram that all these people are on. And if you have the courage to press invite me, they might invite you, and you better goddamn have a talent.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of had a little preparation. I kind of knew, but I'm also not starstruck. I don't know who this guy is.
That is also like a big thing. Like people are getting like starstruck, and that's like when they are like, oh yeah, they're better than me or not. And
well, it's the same way that we could walk on a on a tile board. We could imagine like walking on a.
Sorry.
So imagine us walking on a kitchen tile. And all we can do is take the forward tile forward, right?
Yeah.
One tile in front of the other. We can't step on the side ones, or we'll break our mom's back. You know.
Yeah.
We have to walk in front. But then you put that same board on 100-foot, building. We all get nervous. We start getting in our head.
That is the worst.
So it's like if you were to walk tile like you're in the kitchen, you'd cross that thing in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But the moment you get in your head is when you start not acting normal. That's same with getting starstruck, I guess.
Yeah, for me, it's like, when you stand on a jumping tower and like for a pool or whatever, the more you think, the worse it gets,
Yeah.
And I feel like the best thing you can do is like, the less you think and the more you do, the better you are,
Yeah.
And the more you think, the worse things
Well, think
are.
about a
And
piano
you
player.
don't get the stuff done either.
Think about a piano player. They get into a certain brainwave. I think they call it theta. But it's like it's a subconscious brain state.
Frequencies and
Yes.
everything.
So imagine like a piano player. They can't think about the next thing they're going to play. They're just in
The flow.
the flow of it, the zone, whatever you want to call it. There's many words for it, but yeah, the flow of it. I know a lot of flow artists that spit fire that you can't think about it. You just have to be in it, and it's almost a superpower to hack your brain to get into flow state.
Yeah, the flow state is like when you're at 100% and you're just flowing and vibing, and it's like
in the
yeah,
in the present moment.
I don't know if you know Dragon Ball Z, but
Yeah,
for me,
fuck, do I know Magic Dragon Ball Z?
But I'm just like, like that's when you're Super Saiyan, like if you're in the mood and you're in the flow, I'm like, okay, whatever happens, I'm like,
I'm Ultra Instinct. You know about Ultra Instinct?
I gotcha.
You know about Ultra Instinct?
I do.
Okay.
But if you're in the mood, it's like, okay, you're better than the average then.
Yeah.
It's like. And it's not really that anything changed. It's just like you believe in yourself and you do.
Yeah, so I remember being as a skateboarder, and I use this as metaphor. I'm not trying to brag about my life about this, but I remember as a skateboarder, there'd be times, let's say, like cameras would be there, and I would land everything I wanted to land because I had the pressure of that. Or let's say there was someone younger than me that looked up at me. They thought I was a legend, like a little kid,
That's the thing
like a poser, if you want to call him. And he thought I was a legend. He's like, do a varial heel flip, and I've never landed one. I'm like, all right, gotcha. And I do it because of him. And it's like, I had that within me at all times, but it takes a certain way to get some of the best skateboarders in the world. Number one skateboarder in the world to this day, besides Yudo, is Nigel Houston. Have you heard anything about him?
No, I'm bad with
Nigel Houston. He wins all the competitions. The moment he shows up, everyone gets scared. He always thrives when it's like the last minute pressure. He's the best at handling those high intensity moments. Yeah. And I have a video of him reacting to my magic too.
Jesus. Here's me. I'm the opposite, actually. Like, I'm the guy who's like, if there's pressure, I perform the worst. So the less I care, the better I am. So if I don't care about the event, I will be the best, But if there's pressure and Fitz, you got to do this, got to do that. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, I can. Just don't bother me.
I get asked this all the time, and I'm going to segue this to my stage show that's coming up the first weekend of March.
Promo alert!
For the first weekend of March, I'm doing my first stage show in about a year and a half, and I've learned a lot. I used to do them for like 6 years, every 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'd always open my show with the statement that people would ask me if I get nervous before my show.
Yeah.
And my mentor would always tell me, he's like, Cory, if you get nervous, imagine your audience in their underwear. But the problem is at my stage shows, I never got nervous. Yeah. But the audience looked really nervous.
So you have to break the ice somehow.
The strip music comes on. I get down in my underwear.
Magic Cory Van Valin.
Magic Cory Van Valin. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mike's Harder Lemonade. So
got him.
To being dead ass. So I do this fake striptease in the beginning of my show where I take my jacket off like with Magic Mike music playing.
Yeah.
And then out of my sleeve I produce a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Oh,
and then I put my jacket back on. And then at the very end of my show, I think every good story has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And they go full circle. At the end of my show, when I did all these foreshadowments, all these things, at the end of my show, I bring up someone from earlier. I'm like, Stacy, why do you look so nervous? The music comes back on. This time I get down in my underwear.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. And I've had family come to my show. Now I have this Mike's Hard Lemonade bulge in my underwear. But that's obviously good genetics. I have this little dish towel, nothing on my sleeves, no pants, just underwear and a Mike's Hard Lemonade bulge. A little bit explicit. Oh, it's 18 and up, not good for kids. I have this little dish towel. I put it over my underwear. I reach in and pull out a Mike's Hard Lemonade. They're like, ha, that's funny.
This is for the OnlyFans.
I remove the towel. The bulge is still there.
Jeez.
So I'm not trying to ruin my show. It doesn't ruin anything. But I start my show, and it's dirty. It's not for kids.
Yeah.
I've had parents be like, oh my God, my kid loves magic. I'm like, does he like dick jokes?
Probably not.
Unless he's 13. I don't want him taking notes. It took me years of celibacy to get this funny.
True. But yeah, we were about Andrew Schultz. Want to skip to that?
Yeah, we can do Andrew Schultz. And then Mac Miller afterwards.
Mac Miller too. You got all the celebrities here. Oh, so that's a live stream?
Yeah, so here, pause it for a sec.
Yeah.
So before I got called on, like you don't know you're getting called on until
until it happens.
Until it happens. And he's like, I need someone to bring the fire. We need someone to bring the fire. The fire.
Oh, we had the one cup of the fire, so it's the same wallet?
Yeah. So the first thing I did the wallet, and you can't hear it, but you can see his reaction. You could be like, oh. Because the dude that called me about Andrew Schultz, he was screen recording. If he didn't screen record this, none of this would exist.
Yeah.
And he screen recorded, but then he realized his volume was down. So then he turned it up midway. So that's why I have the back music. But is it fair wallet if you want to throw it back on?
Yeah.
Look at his smile.
Well,
and then the music comes on. They're losing it. If you were on set for them,
yeah,
you're like, what are they doing? It's lit.
Check your back pocket.
His face. He's like, what?
Hey, yo, Corey kill. Hey, Louis.
Hey, Louis. That's
Bro,
what's up.
That was so cool. Like that was one of those moments I woke up during the pandemic, and he optimized so well during the lockdown. He
was
realized
killing
people were at
it.
home, bored as shit.
Comedy was killing it in general.
And his, because he has such a kind of you follow him?
Yeah, I follow him. I like
He's
the
got a
podcast style. It's a little bit
Yeah.
not over the top, but it's like he has a very interesting style.
Have you seen his stand up though?
The stand up, I have not seen.
Oh, bro.
I think I saw snippets. I see all the stuff on social media. Like the comedians are popping up everywhere now, and I'm like, that stuff is so crazy because you follow them because you want to see another joke, you want to see another one and another one.
Dude,
and
I've
another
gotten
one.
caught in a trap where I'm like, I found him, and then I was on for hours going from video to video to video. I want to be that guy eventually. I want to be that guy where someone likes my one trick, and they're like, I want to watch hours worth of his material.
Yeah, you need like 50 tricks or whatever, and every time something else, and it's like, whoa!
My biggest goal is I want to create a series. I really want to create like an episode 1 through 10 or whatever it is. Well, look, let's say you find me on episode 7 because I met Cardi B. I'm just making shit up, but that's how you found me. Because Cardi B.
You're talking about TV style or what?
YouTube
style?
series.
Okay.
And then I can obviously repurpose it to shorts and all that jazz. But I want to create a series where like you might find me in episode 4 or episode 7, but then after you see that, you're like, I want to see it from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I want to see. You're waiting until next Tuesday to the next episode.
Yeah.
Like you're excited, like the same way we get so hyped about Hulu and fucking
Last of
Amazon
Us
Prime.
or whatever.
Yeah. So every week you have something to look forward to. I mean, I follow a lot of channels that drop constant content like that I look forward to every time they post.
The idea that you had in the beginning, that kind of sparked me, like in the city, and then you can make an episode out of it, like you break it up into 10 episodes, and there's a main story, and there's little moments.
And there's an end challenge. Like at the end of the challenge, I got to sell to theater. But then
that's
then I have sub challenges. Like, so today I'm going to only do magic with money that I make from tips. I'm making today I'm going to handcuff myself to a stranger.
And see how they react.
Like 100%. I have a jot list, brainstorm list of so many more ideas than I could ever do with of that channel. But so kind of going on that, I could self fund it. Yeah, it might. I don't know. Just to overestimate, it might be $10K for me to do that. To get the Airbnb, get all the equipment, filming, editing, all that jazz. I would rather just not. I'd love to use other OPM.
OPM? What do you mean?
Other people's money.
That venture capital they talk about.
I want to have something where people are investing into it, and like I can shout them out. This video is brought to you by fucking Humana, or whatever it might be.
I feel that.
I'm gonna crack my next drink too.
Yeah. I mean, oh, sorry. There's a whole 6-pack there.
Oh no, I got my mics.
Oh, yeah.
Right
sorry. This is like actually one of the latest episodes I ever did. Every other episode was like early in the mornings, or at like 4 or 3 o'clock.
You might have a whole new economy coming out of it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a different vibe. We have late nights with Fitz.
Well, let's before I access my notes, because I might have things in my notes that I forgot about, but I really want to talk about one specific thing.
Yeah.
Mac Miller.
So Mac Miller. So here's me being a German, being like a teenager when Mac Miller was big, and I was like kind of in the rock, emo, whatever shenanigans, that was kind of a hip thing to do back in the day, and there was like times and phases and whatever. And I think Mac Miller was like on the hip hop scene and very upbeat, So I was not really into it, but I heard about him. So that means he was very, very big.
How old are you?
Yeah, would you guess? That's the real question.
Do you think you're older than me?
We're maybe the same age.
Okay, I'm about to turn 30.
Oh shit.
Okay, am I older than you? No.
I'm old.
Okay, it's fine.
So it hurts. It hurts. We're going.
I'm about to do a big dirty 30 coming up in June, but what made Mac Miller cool from my era, let's say 1993 babies, was he was still in high school rapping, and as he's making it, you can hear him rapping about making it as he's making it, and so like he really spoke to our unit. Yeah, our unit. We felt like that from it, and he made it massive. It's just God bless his soul. If he was around now,
so I don't know what really happened. So I know he died, like rest in peace. But I don't know why and what happened. You remember? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear it in his music later on. Like he would kind of like his music was still golden, but it was like, wow, where is he coming from right now?
Oh, so it was like depressed,
but like really hit almost describe a depression in a really wild way. he had different highlights in his life. You know, one was up and making, then once he's made it, then he's like still slaying it. But I think when I met him, it was in between both those phases. One where he's already made it, he's already doing solo shows, making massive. You know, when someone makes a lot of money, but for doing something that they're good at,
yeah,
he had a presence to him. So I'm gonna start the clip right now. Like what?
Yeah, I'm just looking it up so that I'm like seeing it.
When I met Mac Miller, he had an aura to him, like an energy, a presence to him. Like when I remember the first time seeing him, it was probably the first celebrity I've ever seen with my own two eyes, and it's so weird. It's almost ass backwards. Where like I've seen you on so many things on videos, I've seen you on TV, and here you are in the flesh. It's the first time I've ever seen a celebrity, but it was more than that. He just had this really warm. Different than anything else I've seen. I've met a lot of people. I've never really seen it sense like that. Maybe Logan Paul like has that kind of energy.
Aura,
if it makes sense.
However you want to call it.
Yeah, like a presence. And yeah.
I mean, that's the feeling like also when you tap into your ultra instinct. I feel
You're
like,
not wrong, my man.
Know, if you tap into that, you get that feeling.
They're up there for a reason.
And everybody feels that confidence. Everybody feels the room, you know? It's like, who is feeling insecure right now? Who is actually?
And there's almost a sense too. Like when you talk to someone, you know that one human being, that one body, has impacted millions of people. Whether it's hundreds of thousands of people on
in a
stage,
positive way, that matters too. You know,
that transfer people's lives. That one body, that one capsule of a human, has impacted so many people. So like, there's a bit of that. My whole story meeting him, I was working at a nightclub in downtown St. Pete called Club Detroit. And I used to have backstage access to Janice, all the shows, because like Club Detroit was linked to the backstage. This one show, I show up and I know Mac Miller's there. I'm all excited. I'm going to meet him. I go back there like, hey man, you're not allowed to back here. I'm like, oh, we're good. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
So that's like defeat number one. Oh. And I had another defeat that I'm not going to talk about that day. So it was like 2 for 2. Like, you don't want that momentum carrying on.
Yeah.
I remember after the show, there was the tour bus outside. So I'm like, all right, let me do magic outside the tour bus. Maybe, you know, I can work some magic, you know? Yeah. So I'm doing magic outside. Someone's like, yo, let me go get something from the tour bus. They go inside. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's about to bring Mac Miller out.
Yeah.
He brings out some other guy, not Mac Miller.
Damn.
No, I showed him magic. He's freaking out. He had me add him on Twitter. And this is, I'm not even on Twitter, but I added him. He had a lot of followers. It's like, his name was like Chance the Rapper or something like that.
Yeah. I have no idea.
No. That was, I said that in that way. Chance the Rapper's huge. I didn't know that at the time. Chance the Rapper's massive now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know who he was. He was just on Mac Miller's tour bus.
Yeah.
But Chance the Rapper right now is amazing. So I got to meet Chance without even me like knowing it, whether he remembers it or not. And now after that, I'm kind of bummed out. I didn't get to meet Mac. I'm talking to the security guy because as a magician, I get to meet all the security guys.
Well, that's where you get the bonus, you know, when they see you a couple times. Oh, it's him.
You got to talk to the bouncers, the managers, the bartenders. As a magician, you get to know them all. And he's like, hey, you didn't hear from me, but Mac Miller's upstairs in the VIP room over at Club Detroit where I work. Oh. So I'm fucking...
Let's go.
Nervous, like, all right, he's at where I work. All right, I'm going to go up there. I walk in, I see my photographer friend. He's like my best friend at the time. I'm like, yo, Mac Miller's upstairs. He's like, I know, man, but they're not letting anyone up there. That's defeat number 3. Right then and there, I'm like, fuck that.
We don't count that.
Yeah, I didn't count that.
It only counts if you count.
Because I the first thing I did, I went straight upstairs. Security guy, like, normally would have stopped anyone else, but it was me. He knew who I was. He lets me in. Yeah. And I see him there. He's sitting on the couch, and I'm not just going to go fucking cold approach him like that.
Gotta be smooth. Like that's what I feel like, you know, people are sometimes not smooth and they're too direct. And I think it has to be nice and smooth.
Yeah, because I could go up to him like, you want to see magic? He's like, no. And that's the end of that story. I would have never met him.
And then you just make it awkward if you force it, you know?
So what I ended up doing was I did my flaming wallet that I have.
Yeah.
And I did that near, and someone's like, oh my God, what was that? Not him, not his group, other people up there. And I'm like, oh, I'm the magician. So like, oh, show me some. So they're screaming like, what the fuck? And they're freaking out nonstop. And I'm making sure, I'm doing this intentionally.
Yeah.
And I see them keep looking over. And then at one point, he just wanted to make a trick, and the whole group, they're not paying attention to him. They're like, oh my God. And I glance over, I'm like, hey man, do you want to see something really quick?
Yeah.
He's already seen what I can do to people.
Yeah.
And at this point, you know, I'm acting like I don't even know who the guy is. So I go up to him, and you know, I start with my strong stuff, obviously, and I'm making him laugh. That was important. I was making him laugh and smile, and
yeah.
And it was funny too, because you know, his whole group, he was bringing other people from his group. Like, yo, we got to see this guy. And there's a point, he's like, yo, I've got a trick. Let me see your cards.
Okay.
Guess what trick he did?
The
21 card trick. But when it's Mac Miller, you let him do it.
Yeah, he gets away with it.
So this whole time, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, my phone's dead at this point, by the way. And also, one of my best tricks I didn't have on me. So I'm just doing my secondary and above. My phone was dead. So I have no way to prove this.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, all I hear is
Oh, you're getting
my photographer friend.
Got you.
Made it up there, and he was getting all these photos.
Paparazzi style.
He got a photo of him. He actually got a video of him doing the trick to me, but he got photos of it. He got photos of him reacting in ways where he's smiling, his cheekbones are out. You see a video where he's flicking me off, but not like angry. He's like looking offside, his eyes up in the air, cheekbones out, flicking me off because he's so impressed. There's a point where he pulled out his phone to take a selfie with me, where I did the flame wallet, and I've never seen the selfie. I've never got it, never aired or anything like that. But you know, it's one of those moments when I was 20 years old that at that age, no one took me seriously. They're like, you know, I'd be like, I'm a magician. Like, nah, what are you really doing? I'm like, I'm a fucking magician. But after Mac Miller, like, oh, I knew him way back when. Yeah. That's my man. That's my boy Cory. You know, and it's funny how they switch up like that. But at the same time, when you want to be good at what you do, you have to do it for you. You can't do it for anyone else because you're going to have either you don't believe in yourself, people are going to support you. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to go far. Let's say you believe in yourself, you're going to have a lot of people trying to bring you down. You got to remember what you believe in yourself is what's going to carry you on.
There's a weird saying. It's called like whatever is emotion stays in motion, you know, like, but to get in motion, everything wants to drag you down because like if you're doing stuff, that means like I'm not doing stuff and I don't like that. I want to be like that you are like me. So we're on the same level. If you want to change, we don't do that because we're the same and you have to force that change.
So the master mentality is the idea that you're not just prepared for it, you anticipate it. You know that it's coming. So when it's there, you greet it. You're like, hello, I was waiting for you. Yeah. When I say you, it's like talk about that brick wall, that thing that's in your way.
Something to drag you down, like I was expecting it.
Versus like fighting, like, oh, this is so hard, or like resisting, like, no, screw this. The master anticipates it. It knows it's part of the journey that when that brick wall comes, you're not surprised. If anything, you're like, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this because I know once I overcome this, the next level's ahead of me. And that goes for any field that you're into. You know, the brick walls are always not there to keep you out, but they're there to show you how bad you really want something.
Oh, this is deep. I like that. So on that note, like you do like some Tony Robbins, self-help, motivational things. Are you into that scene?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Dude, I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, and that's the way actually. This is game changer. Like, I'd let you take it.
I mean, no shame on book reading too, because I love that too. I've had incredible experience with books. I've cried from books. But what I like about audiobooks, because I have a task in my job as a magician. You know, where I have to organize my cards, and that's a tedious job, but it's like meditation for me. Yeah. When I have to sort through thousands of cards, and I sort them every time I go out, I sort them all. I have an audiobook on, and I'm subconsciously picking it up. That it's not necessarily for me sometimes. There's times I might hear something from that audiobook that later that day someone's going through something that I seem like the guru because I heard something that day. Like it almost makes me seem like the fucking wizard with all the knowledge. But when I listen to audiobooks, like my subconscious is picking up and then I'll end up noticing the thing that I needed to hear that day. And so I'll re-listen to old books that I've read in the past because I'm more now. So when I read the book, I retain more, and I love anything that fills my brain with content or like fills my brain with substance.
Yeah, it's not candy. Like that's what I usually say. Like when you consume like candy, it is bad for you. But good books are not candy. They fill you up with like knowledge. Like you can interact with life in a different way. I learned this skill. Hey, this is an interesting way of seeing it, you know, and it just like changes the whole game. Just like one phrase, you know, when like there was it's Chris Do, and it's his YouTube channel. It's called The Future, and he said somewhere like just double your prices, and like it's an interesting concept, you know. Like next time I'll just double my prices just randomly. And maybe you get away with it, maybe you don't. But if you do, and then you get away with it, wait a minute, I could have charged the whole time more.
I even like the concept of good, better, and best.
Good, better, and best.
It's like an A, B, and C. Is like, you know, it's like I have 3 tiers.
Oh yeah, tier lists and stuff like that.
It's like because there's gonna be people that want the highest bait on their fishing rod
and the anchor and whatever.
And really, it could be the same thing, just with a little bit more shininess on it, you know. But like, listen, I don't want to there's people that spend thousands on champagne at an event that I'm getting paid at, that like I got to keep that consideration. It's a weird dance when it comes to someone asking me my prices.
Yeah,
I never give my prices right off the bat.
Yeah, so that there's like whoever says it first.
Whoever's yeah.
And that's the thing. Like you want to know what's in their budget, what's not in their budget. There's a whole psychology behind it. It's like bunkers.
I even like the idea of having a team, man. Like there's times like, hey, listen, give me. I don't let them talk to me. Almost like when you call a doctor, you don't talk to the doctor. you talk to the doctor's assistant, and like I'll relate to the doctor, and I'll get back to you. So it's like if the assistant says, hey, his rate is this, I'm like, oh, it's too much. It's like, hey, listen, I'll talk to my doctor. He might be free this time. If he's free, he might be able to do that for you. But if it's me, it's like, oh, let me talk to myself. You can't do that. But
I have a voice in my head that tells me I'm busy. Sorry.
One part of me says yes, the other part says kill him.
Line it up. I'm not gonna take it.
But having a team, that's important too. It's like having someone that you could relay information to. And then, there's upsells, it's like, hey, listen, I can offer this, but hey, if there's more, you don't leave money on the table. Hey, if you want this experience, I've actually done this for a client that's just like you, that they wanted this, that, and the other. I can offer that, and the other too.
So that's where you offer then like the striptease.
That's extra. I have to make sure they subscribe to my OnlyFans. It's under Chris Angel Fucks. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
That's his people.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Are you ready? I think he even made music or something like that.
Yeah. It was a very rocker. I mean, dude, he capitalized.
He killed it.
No,
like money wise.
No hate towards him. I really don't. Like he slayed it back in the day. Like he was on some of the girls' fucking lockers.
Yeah, if you're a rock star, like that is like the thing. The bigger the fame and the more money you get, the more your weaknesses and strengths get amplified, So that's like a weird thing. Like if you have now unlimited money, what would you do? Like some people are just like, okay, I'm off the walls, drunk, high, whatever. Or some people are just like, I'm just doing my thing.
Some people are like, I'll quit my job. For me, like if I had unlimited money, like I would double down on what I do. Like I've actually had this like theory as if, if I would win the lottery or something like that, metaphorically. I don't even play lottery, but if I were to, let's say I won it, I would do this thing metaphorically that I would burn everything that I own and I would start from scratch where I would go to Walgreens with no cards, no tricks. And I would do some like things that I can do with my hands, like tricks. I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to get like $1.
Yeah.
So I can buy a deck of cards. And then I use that deck of cards to get, get enough tips to get a Sharpie. And then you start like
the trading
relearning.
Up
trading up. Yeah. So I do things. So I'm really revisiting all the roots of it. Even though I have access to a nice roof over my head, food, security and all that stuff. But when it comes to a craft, I know glass blowers that were given, their parents were like HBO people, and the glass blower just instantly bought the best equipment and the best devices. But he also hired someone that was smart to teach him, because if he was just left at his own muse with the best equipment, the best stuff, he would go nowhere. But if he hired someone to teach him how to use this stuff, he can get ahead.
Yeah, so that is actually a big thing, like in the videography world. There's some people who have money, and they just buy top of the line gear.
China.
Yeah. But I mean, like, so there's people who buy top of the line gear and they're just like, okay, now I'm a videographer, but they still don't know how to edit, operate, and whatever. And they fall apart at different points, and they don't want to go through the growing pain and learning the knowledge and everything. So just like having money is not enough. Like you have to love the thing.
If I had the opportunity to go back to my 18-year-old self when I was first really getting to magic, and if I had the opportunity to teach him all the tricks that I know now, I wouldn't. No, because it was the art of learning it that really made it rooted. I would maybe tell myself to get a better fashion style.
Fashion style.
I had a worse. I look so fucking dorky. Like
so here's a theory that I have. We live in St. Pete. Or I at least.
I love St. Pete.
Yeah. So there's the Dali, and it's like Dali, and he was like one of those great artists, but he had a very unique style. He always had something going on that made him like, okay, special. Either having like a Kruger with him, or having like a really weird mustache, or wearing something really weird.
Near tight.
You need to have something to stand out, and that is like one of the things where it's like, gotta have that somewhat edge. Yeah. So what is that guy? Deadmau5? No, not Deadmau5. Yeah, Deadmau5 has
and who's Marshmallow?
Yeah, Marshmallow.
I met him too.
Yeah, you become bigger when you're like not human like in a weird way, if that makes sense.
I'll throw this as a cool thing. Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
You've heard of Penn and Teller. They're Vegas magicians. They've been So he had this one thing he was saying when he would take business calls, he would literally take his pants off and he'd be in his underwear on phone calls, because he always wanted to know something that they didn't.
Well, I know something.
So he'd always have that edge, that's something that... so for instance, this actually I don't know why I'm segueing into underwear, but I think it's really important. Someone gave me this really good advice, is, do you have an underwear drawer? We all do.
Yeah.
Do you wear all your underwear, or do you have some that are just
I usually wear one pair at a time. Not all.
One a week.
We rotate in and out, you know.
So I used to have pairs of whatever that would just like linger, like almost like soggy old hot dogs in the fucking back of the fridge.
Soggy old hot dogs.
But like, there's a point I threw them out because like I wanted to make sure even my socks. I have okay, my socks are normal now, but normally I have socks that are really cool, and I have underwear that's really cool. So every time I put them on, even though no one sees it, I feel it. I feel the energy. If I'm wearing like some like shit stained fucking socks and cum stained underwear, you know.
Wait a minute, how do you get shit stains on the socks?
And then come on the underwear. But you know, essentially, if I'm wearing something that has bad energy on it, like if I'm walking out and I'm feeling like $1,000,000,
Yeah.
you know,
it changes the game.
It changes the game, man. The way you look at people when you walk by them, that's one of my biggest superpowers. Even earlier, before coming up to this podcast, I went to Downton St. Pete. I'm walking by. Some people, they don't want to look at me because there's homeless people out there that you can't give them attention. But there's certain people that have good energy. I heard them like laughing, and I'm walking by. I'm like, look at them, like, what's up? I didn't really say that. I just like give them the eye. I'm like, yo, man, like good time. I'm like, yo, thank you. And we're
like,
all smiling hard. You know, we're almost generating energy. It's like there's something about people that when you go up to people without, you know, doing a card trick, without asking anything from them, but like just giving them an acknowledgement, it generates them feeling more energy, you feel more energy. Like, where did that energy come from?
Yeah, it's like a spiral that goes up instead of like down.
And there's up and down. You know, there's energy that's downwards. Like that's like.
But that's like how you surround yourself with. Like, you know, sometimes you have people who are just Debbie Downers. And there's always something on. There's always drama. There's always something, and it's just like, oh boy, you know, this is people.
You gotta have a third eye, like a sixth sense about like energy like that. I'm not saying you gotta.
I mean,
like,
you don't really need that. It's like it's really obvious.
I think we all have that ability. Like, we all, and sometimes we're not in tune to it. But like to really be in tune with your energy, like to know maybe I shouldn't go down that alleyway.
Yeah.
maybe this situation I should separate from, or maybe this situation I should double down on. To have that consciousness of energy, like I think we all have it intuitively. But just to know that it exists. I'm going to segue.
Let's do them segues again.
I feel like this whole podcast would be a great drinking game. Every time I say segue.
How many shots can you drink on a Segway?
Oh, I drink like a lot. Segway.
But yeah.
I was going to say this whole concept. Santa Claus.
Okay, this is a crazy segue, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I bring this up because I wrote this in my notes for podcasts before we even talked about podcasts. It was late. I was talking to my mom, and we were talking about the concept of like teaching your kids about Santa Claus. And is it morally wrong to lie to them, saying that there's a guy?
A good conversation to have.
Yeah, like so, like, and I'm an adult now, so like, you know, Mom, I know the tooth fairy doesn't exist. I caught you.
I'm still waiting for Santa though. Where are you at?
I believe in Santa. And this is why. I think Santa is us, in a sense that like if you tell a kid that someone's gonna come down our chimney. The kid's gonna be like, what if I don't have a chimney, Mom?
Yeah.
But like the idea of Santa is this idea that he'll give you presents when you're good, not just on Christmas. Life will give you presents when you're doing the right thing. You know, there's a concept of like when Santa is like this magical being. That's what we're taught as kids. And like when you wake up in the morning, all the presents there. That's a magical feeling. But then you get this lie later on that it was our parents' time. But it's still true. I believe in Santa Claus at this age. That like life will still put presents under my metaphoric tree.
That is the American version. Actually, the German version
Let's
is
hear
way
it. I don't
different.
know anything about it. Let's
Santa
hear it.
Claus is the guy who kidnaps you if you're a bad guy. If you're a bad kid, you get taken, and there's like Krampus and all that stuff. Like the German back in the day, what they told the kids, oh my god, it's nightmare material.
You guys have
So
a
it's like, you know,
demon.
if you're a good person, hey, you get a gift. You know, it's
Hey,
fine.
you don't die.
Otherwise, you get kidnapped and like sold to slavery, whatever.
Hey, listen.
Different cultures. I'm just saying.
What about the Easter Bunny? You guys have one?
We got that one.
It's an Easter coyote. He leaves you eggs or he devours your fucking food.
Too realistic sometimes.
It's hilarious. But if I had a kid, I would tell him, yo, Santa's real, but like, listen, like the presents, they come.
I think magic needs to be there. Oh?
Magic is real. All right, this is a great transition.
Where we're going with this?
Great segue is I've had so many kids that before I do a trick, like I know magic's not real. I'm like, I didn't even do anything. He's like, I know magic's not real. I'm like, all right, well here, let's have some fun, man. Here, pick a card. He's like, I know this trick. I'm like, wow.
Okay.
You know everything. You don't know anything. The more you know, the less you know. Like the more you think you know, the
Yeah, because then you're prepared to look a certain way, look for certain things.
But not even that. I just feel for that kid because he feels he has life figured out. I don't have life figured out. We don't have life. No one has life figured out. Life is so mysterious. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to do 2 tricks in a row.
Okay. Oh, he's pulling it out. Let's see.
So I'm going to instant give credit towards I.E. the Magician. He's the one who showed me this trick, and I'm just going to do the trick with the same message. He's magic with a message.
Rachel, here's a magic trick. Come.
Yeah,
Rachel, come. You can see on my side. Actually, she had the Santa Claus furry, too. She doesn't want to have to lie to kids, too.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Come here. Which
I'm going to take my headphones off just so I can
do just do the magic.
So, Rachel, you remember that trick earlier when I had you name a card that was face down on the deck? Yeah. And it was cool. I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to have you think of a card, and then I'm going to name it out loud. That's a bold claim. Okay. I feel you breathing heavily. Listen, it's not that intense. Just think of a card. So again, maybe a number card, but like number in a suit or card in a suit. Okay. You can do it too. You can think of a card too.
Okay, I got... wait.
Just
now I have to think about like...
Just let me know. Have you thought of a card yet?
Yeah.
Okay, you've thought of it. I'm going to name it now. Are you ready?
Okay.
Jack?
No.
All right, let's try it again. Jack. Still no?
I just thought of it as soon as you said it.
No. Sometimes it works. Have you ever had a moment in life when you think you're right and you assume the other person's wrong? Or they think they're right, they assume you're wrong?
Yeah.
This might be one of those cases. I'm going to scan through the cards one by one. When you see your card, just take it out.
You can actually see.
Okay, one by one. When you see your card, remember I said I was going to name it Jack. Just going to one by one. We'll go a little faster in a moment. A little faster. Take it.
That's a weird card.
What the fuck?
Show the camera the card.
Here we go. No, yep.
That one?
Yeah, it's not autofocusing. But he wrote on a Jack. God damn.
See, it's a message because...
How does this... I don't...
Yeah, it's
okay.
all good.
It says Jack on it. So the message is... You know, you were so sure when I said Jack, you're like, no. And I'm like, no, I'm going to name it Jack. And there's a moment in life that we could all be right. We just see things from different angles and different perspectives.
Yeah. That's dope, though.
The moment you think you know something, maybe we don't know Jack.
So, how do you train to read people?
We'll get to that in a moment. Hey, save that question for a moment. I got one more trick.
Yeah. You got another one.
I want to tell you guys. Do you guys remember the whole coin shortage that happened?
Yeah. So
I'm going to tell you guys why. I know why.
You got a wallet there with
No. Do you have a quarter on you?
No. Probably.
The coin shortage is real. No, I've got one. I've got one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have both you guys initial the quarter, but I'm gonna have you guys initial both sides, separately. So I've got a Sharpie.
He's prepared.
What's that behind your ear?
Headphones.
But behind the headphones, Sharpie. So I'll have you initial one side, and I'll have Rachel initial the other side. So the coin shortage was a big deal. Do you remember it was on the news, social media, coin shortage? I know what happened. So this is the thumbnail. Magician explains why the coin shortage happened.
Why did it happen? I'm so confused where this is going.
So right off the bat, what you guys did was a federal offense. Illegally defacing American currency. But what I'm about to do
on a podcast.
Way more illegal. Yeah, exactly. That's why I have your initials, not mine. I don't know how good this is going to look on their podcast, but
I don't know.
You'll see it yourselves.
Yeah.
You've heard of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is big back at that time, right?
Yeah, it still is. It's popping.
It has nothing to do with the coin shortage.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
What'd you say, Rachel? It's bent?
There we go.
Is that your initials?
That is it.
You've heard of Bitcoin. Well, that's bent coin. It's going places.
Damn.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How does this relate to the coin shortage? It's because I was doing the trick a lot. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
Rachel, how you feel about this?
It won't work on gumball machines. I'm so sorry.
Rachel.
Yeah, and I'm like, I saw the date, and like, this is like a future one. Oh, it's 20.
No, that's the same quote. I promise.
She's trying to figure
and
it
now,
out.
Well, it also is like one of those that it's not like just a generic bag. It's like
the state quarter.
Yeah, it's a state quarter. Well,
And now the United States is short 1 quarter.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take down the economy one quarter at a time.
That was cool, though. I felt like seeing how it melts.
And then I made sure to put my middle initial because you can't find it.
I'm just saying,
She's like, I'm preparing for the worst.
if you guys want to invest in cryptocurrency, I'm just saying Bentcoin is where it's at.
Backcoin.
Dogecoin, man, that's 2021.
Yeah.
Bentcoin, it's going places.
Oh, that's cool. So, how big is your trick repertoire?
It's
I don't even know if that's a question to ask.
like, I mean, same question. How many grains of sand are on the beach? How many stars are there in the universe? Like that's how many.
I gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna.
But
twist
what
it.
is your absolute favorite, or what is a trick that you would love to learn, or aspire to learn, or is there like something like a master trick? You know what I mean? I don't know if that's like I'm not a magician, so I'm basically like trying to figure that out.
Me too with that question because I will have an answer for sure. Cheers to distraction.
Well, we forgot about that one.
So next question.
No, I got you.
A trick that I aspire to learn.
Oh, you feel like you got most of what would you need? You're like content with the repertoire. You know what I mean?
I know there's a lot that I don't know. That's one step of mastery is knowing that you know nothing,
Yeah.
or Socratic kind of thing. I'll make it simplistic. I wish I knew more rope tricks.
Rope tricks. Okay.
Yeah, rope tricks are it's a whole thing. So imagine if I went to the audience and I'm like, do you guys like card tricks? I'm like, yeah. And then I pull out of the cards a rope.
You're like bondage.
At the FetCon events, that'd be great. Ooh.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna move this out of the way. So I'm one of the few, if not the only magician to do a full magic show for at least 100 plus people, butt naked.
Butt naked.
Butt naked. I was at Burning Man.
Damn. Burning Man. That is like an experience by itself.
We could talk a whole podcast about that.
Like, where do you even start? Like Burning Man. What?
We started Burning Man. That's where we started.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
I
like,
get you, I
what
get you.
year Burning Man? How do you get to Burning Man? What was your experience?
It's its own
Did
podcast.
It change you know what I mean?
Let's come back next
season.
no,
Or
not
next
16,
episode.
maybe like 2 weeks. Yeah. But I'll tell you about this one time at Burning Man. There was a talent show at a nudist camp. There's so many different kinds of camps, you know.
Yeah.
And this one was a nudist camp. It was called Comfort and Joy Nudist Camp. And they had a talent show. And the host of it, who's like this big name at this camp, which is, there's no big names at Burning Man. This guy's a big name at this camp. He met me. He's like, yo, man, you got to come on. So, like, the thing is, like, when I was told it was a nudist camp, I'm like, oh, say less.
Say less, wear less.
It's like someone's like, it's like someone's like, you gotta be naked. I'm like, nope, that's what I don't. No, I'm like, yo, say less. I'm already on it. I'm already naked. One of my favorite parts of the whole thing, because it was different for me, because like I've done my magic show countless times and I know how to do it in the back of my hand. But can I do it bareback?
Yeah.
And-
how will they judge me? Do they judge me on the joke?
They're
or
all
the-
naked. They were all naked. So like, if I'd be judged if I wore clothes. My favorite thing though, because everyone at Burning Man, they're also artists. They're also creatives. Everyone's an amazing person out there. So like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not, you don't have hecklers out there. You have people that are like
Genuine
creatives. Yeah. Some guy's like, pull a bunny out of your ass.
Wait, I'm prepared for that one.
I was.
How?
Now, do you know the story about the tortoise and the hare?
Tortoise in the hair. No.
It's about the a turtle and a rabbit that race. Tortoise and the hare.
yeah. Okay.
Tortoise and the hare. I'm using that as prequel because I reach around my back. It's a hare.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I was prepared.
don't share this episode with Peter because
no. It was a hare. It was a hare, a butt hare. But a rabbit is also called a hare. He's like, pull a rabbit in the grass. I'm like, "Pfft, it's a hare. They lost it. I lost it too, but I had to keep it cool because I'm the magician.
yeah.
But Burning Man's something else, man. I've never felt more credit because again, magic is always good people that you're perform for, and they're so receptive out there. I've gone up to people like, hey, do you want to see some magic? Like, fine.
Yeah.
I can only get to a certain level of magic with that person that's like fine, and I can break them.
Well, yeah. On that note, because that is like very related to hypnosis. What do you think about hypnosis, and how does it relate to magic? Because I feel like it's the same thing. If you believe in it, you maybe get into a stage where you get hypnosed. But if you're on the edge and you don't believe it, it will not work on you.
I've heard this from someone smarter at hypnosis than me, saying that we're hypnotized all the time already. Every day we're hypnotized. Every day we're hypnotized by you know, the air. We're hypnotized by the music. We're hypnotized by the people around us. We're hypnotization is happening at all times, but it's normally something very subtle. It's like you convince someone like, I don't want to go out. Like, hey man, we should go out. You convince them. That's hypnotism in some definition. So hypnotism.
I like that. I like that thought.
Our phones are hypnotizing, bro. This is the best hypnotism.
Well, that's stuff. Not. It's terrible for us, but
I've got a great story.
You whoop it out.
I gotta use the word segue.
We gotta use a segue to get to the story.
So my parents took me to Vegas for my 21st birthday. Granted, imagine I started when I was like 17, 18.
Yeah.
I'm 21 for the first time. And
it's a good place to be 21.
Yeah. And my parents took me there for humility a bit.
Humility? What do you mean with that?
To put me in proximity of others that are doing it. So I'm still doing the game. So my parents like, oh, let's bring you around other people that are doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of my dad's mentality. Like, let me put you around. Great, see how you fare. Like, I don't know. Like, they were kind of curious to see what I could do because I've already slayed it at a cruise once with them.
Yeah.
But I say that for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
My parents took me to Vegas for my 21st birthday. It's a 3-night trip, and on the second night, I'm doing my own thing. They're doing their own thing at the casinos. I went to Fremont Street, and I meet this guy, and he looks like an ordinary guy. Someone's like, oh, you got to show him some magic. There's so much backstory to this that I'm biting my tongue not saying because it's so deep and crazy how coincidental it all is. But I meet this guy. He's like, you show him some magic. He looks like the owner of the pizza shop that we're at. Yeah. He looks like that. He was an ordinary guy. He wasn't the pizza shop owner. He wasn't the pizza.
He was head honcho. Who was he?
He was the headliner at the Paris Hotel.
Ooh.
Headlining act. His name was Anthony Cools. He was a headlining hypnotist at the Paris Hotel. He had the longest running hypnotist show in Vegas at that time.
We're getting to the segue.
So I got to show him some magic, and he's loving it. We're all laughing, and he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'd like you to open up for my show tomorrow.
Did you do it, or did you like?
I said yes right away. I've never been on stage in my life like that. I just said yes right away, and he's like, I just feel like you just need to get your shot. Someone needs to give you that opportunity. So, you know, hours go by after that. Like, I'm fucking swoon. Hours after leaving all that. You know, I get back to my hotel room at like 4 a.m. My parents
all dressed up and like, yeah.
Well, I mean, hours went by, so I already like lost a lot of money gambling. Not a lot. I was 18. I didn't have that much money to gamble. But I get back to my hotel room at like 4 a.m. My parents are waking up. They're like, oh, hey, Cory, how was your night?
Where's my money?
No. Like, how's your night? I'm like, oh, it was good. You know, I'm opening up at the Paris Hotel tomorrow. Like, what? I'm like, oh, we got the best seats in the house. Like, what? I'm like, I'll tell you tomorrow.
That is the cool thing about working gigs, you know? Like, you get into crazy situations and you end up on a yacht, a bunch of girls. You just film shenanigans.
Bro. Dude, the past year, I feel like I want to talk about my past month in the next podcast. Or unless you want to stay up late, we can talk all night. But yeah, that one time I woke up the next morning, my parents like, hey, Cory, what'd you say? You're opening at Paris? You have the best seats. Yeah, I'm at Anthony Cools. He's giving us best seats, VIP seats, and I'm going to open for a show in Las Vegas. And I've never done a show like that in my life. And I think for my parents, it was such a monumental moment, a second monumental moment, because like they took me to Vegas on a whim.
Yeah.
And here I am.
That's very nice of them, actually. Like,
oh, they're so supportive. Like my parents, shout out parents, you know,
shout
for
out
sure.
parents.
So supportive, and you know, them having belief in me. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like them having belief in me also gave me double belief in myself, because I already believe in myself. But when I had my parents backing me, it's hard when you have everyone against you. Like, you know, I'm gonna be all the movies, all the shows.
You're
gonna be a photographer,
support group. You need everything.
But like usually, all the shows and movies are like, you know, I'm gonna be a painter, and all the parents like, think about a real job.
Yeah, I'll get a real job.
And to be honest, I haven't had a real job since I was like 18, and I make money, but not just from doing gigs. I do great gigs. I do nonstop gigs. I've umped it up to trade shows. I do stage shows. I could sell product. The world's my oyster at this point.
Yeah, at this point, let's say like, okay, I want to book Cory. How do you do? How do you do that? Do I reach out via Instagram? How should somebody reach out to you?
If someone were to like call my phone, send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or text me, I would send them to my email address, which is book@magicmanvan.com. I have someone that's amazing. Her name's Haley. She's amazing at like knowing how to respond to events and like how to make the most custom fitting gig for you? Because not all gigs are the same. Sometimes it's Timmy's 10th birthday parties, but sometimes it's like, hey, we have a high-end male fashion show with the athletes from the Buccaneers and Lightning coming here. So not all gigs are the same. So I don't handle all that. Yeah. I have someone on my team that handles all that.
So you're in an agency, basically?
No, not an agency.
So it's like private kind of, not a private, but
it's my assistant that handles it. Like,
okay, gotcha.
I've worked with agencies, but they're probably like 4% of my gigs, but they've gotten me great gigs. And to this day, no hate on them, they've gotten me great gigs. But if I were to rely on them for my how to eat, I'd be starving.
Yeah.
So all my 90-something% is all me. It's all me being out about meeting people that meet more people. I was just in Venice the other 2 days ago, and I've never been to Venice before, but now I've got Venice on lock. Yeah. The whole city of Venice wants to hire me for every fucking event they have.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, on that note, we're going to put the links down below in the comment, not in the comments, but in the description, so you can book Cory, because he does a good job. I saw him live. I filmed with him live. We did a couple things.
Oh, we got a lot more to work on, too. I feel like the future is glamorous in front of us.
I hope 2023 will be great. I'm not really 100% sure what the future will have in store for us, like in general, because like there's so much negative news. I'm trying to avoid all of that.
I heard a great thing on social media saying if you want to feel worried about the world, watch the news. If you want to feel confident about the world, watch nature. Watch nature. Watch like what's in front of you. Like let's say all the phone service went down. Oh no. But then look what's in front of you. Like you could see people having smiles and you could see a mom and a daughter having a mom and daughter date.
Actually, that's the acid right now kicking in. It's people.
The mushrooms kicking in. The Last of Us.
True. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like you're right with that, like big time. Actually, like I'm trying to avoid the news, but obviously, like I'm kind of trying to gauge what will the future hold for us. Like 2020 and 2021, 2022, kind of like a rough couple of years. Up and down with the gigs, and I'm just like, will this year be a restart? Will it be better? Some people talk about a recession. What is your spin on
I'm going to make up something off the fly that I've never said before, not on this topic at all, but imagine if your future self from 5 years from now just talked to you and I'm like, hey man, you're good. 5 years from now, let's say 5 years from now, your future self said, hey listen, I lived through that 5 years.
Gotcha.
Everything you're worried about, stop that, you're good. Maybe he might be good to something different, who knows, in 5 years from now. But let's say 5 years from now, your future self just said to you, all that stuff, that's just going to tax you. That's going to like weigh you down. Don't even worry about it. You're good. Imagine having that confidence that you looked into a crystal ball and you saw your future self saying, you're good.
Yeah.
That's kind of a way that I live. And it's not like a toxic optimism, toxic positivity.
There's no toxic optimism.
I really believe that, actually at the end of my life, whenever it is, that my older self says, Cory, you're good.
Yeah.
Where he's at a place where my older self, whatever, 80, 90, I don't want to be that old.
I kind of want to be that old. I'm like, the future will be great. Like I have a positive outlook for the future. I'm just like this year trying to preparate, like you can't spend your money, like let's say buying new clothes for like gigs or props and whatever, or should you hold back and be like a little bit conservative? And I'm like trying to gauge like, what should I do?
We could always have more than we've ever had because we could always become more than we've ever been.
He's going deep today. What's going on? I like that though.
We could always have more than we've ever had because we could always be more than we've ever been. Yeah. It's like there's a concept that like, when I look to my elementary school age, I mean that's going way back.
Yeah.
That person had no clue what my middle school life was like. My middle school life my 21-year-old self has no idea of my life right now.
Yeah.
So everything that I was worried about in 21 is nothing to me now. Like, and I have this trust. So I remember bringing up to you when I met Harry Mack, I do this activity every New Year where I write a letter to my future self.
Yeah.
I ask him questions like, all right, how many cruises have been on? And that's assuming I'm going to go on a cruise.
Yeah.
Or what's your biggest paying gig? I'll ask my future self these questions. And then I get the letters because I have them. And I get to write back to my younger self. I get to talk and I get to really reflect on a year. I want to almost break that down to a monthly thing. So tomorrow.
I mean, that is like kind of what they say that you should do. You break down your main goal into small goals, and then till you get to like the actionable steps.
Imagine like a diary, like how valuable a diary is when like 40 years have passed. Like it's almost like if you have parents and like you get to see like your mom's diary when she was 13 and 18.
This
how
would be
valuable
actually
that is.
One of the weirdest times in human lives. Imagine your kiddos watching the podcast. for example. It's like, oh yeah, back in the day we had that, you know? You have no idea what your dad did like back in the day. He can tell you.
Or his mindset. Like, you can see like what he looked like
or
maybe.
the
But
personality. Now everything is being recorded. Everybody is like, oh, I like this person. I would have hung out with him, drunk a beer with him, whatever.
In a
you
heartbeat,
know?
yeah.
And back in the day, people couldn't do that. They just assumed.
I never got to meet one of my dad's dad. I never got to meet my grandpa, but I did meet my dad. My grandpa's like, she married his brother, but she was actually in love with him.
Yeah.
So my great aunt, I guess, my grand aunt, I don't know, but like she loved, but she also loved who my grandpa married and had kids with that had me. But like I remember talking, she passed away recently, but like I remember talking to her about my grandfather that I've never met, and she'd look at me in this way that as if I was him. It's like, oh my god, like, oh, she could see the angle of like, yo, if you met Harry or if you met Robert, like if you met him, oh my god, we would have a blast.
Yeah.
But I'm also a descendant of him. But it's so cool, like, to get those different colors inside of just a photo.
Yeah.
So that was my experience.
There's a different angle, you know?
A different angle from a life experience. She knew my grandpa that I never met, and she knew who he was as a person behind closed doors. Like and for me to hear that was really kind of cool.
Yeah. It's also like kind of cool, like seeing like family, like you know when you whip out the family book and there's some photos and like, oh yeah, he actually looks like me, you know, kind of sorta.
And then all you find photos like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What else?
Wait a
Like,
minute, I should know this guy.
whatever happened to a good old fashioned Polaroid? You know?
Yeah.
Like there's actually a Polaroid of me doing the naked magic show, but I'm auctioning it off at my OnlyFans, Christina Fucks. But you know, we have iPhones photos that we can take 20 photos in a second versus back then you had 20 photos.
It was rare.
Entirely.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a bad photo, you know, out of those click phones, and that's so.
This is such a weird era in general. I don't know what this will be for the future generations because we know everything, see everything. We can scroll back. What did we do last year? What did we do, like, you know, like the old magic tricks you learned?
I think we're going to be the median for the new era.
Yeah.
We're going to be the ones that have to, like, try to, like, instill the history into them because they're going to be living off of, like, new fumes, but we got to let them know, like, there is more to humanity than just that. So it's kind of up to us a bit to have that root involved. But granted, you know, it's not saying the past was the answer. The future is answer too, but there's a middle ground of like, I mean, shit, like AI stuff. You know, you've been seeing a lot of stuff AI.
Yeah, I just showed Rachel. So Rachel had a terrible bike accident. So she hit her head really bad. And so she was like a little child for a moment in the hospital, recovering. And now she's back at work, you know, being at 100%. But she's like freaked out because I showed her a chat, open chat AI. And you can type in anything, any question, and it will give you an answer. So if you want skit, movie script, anything, it will write you a creative idea.
So I heard something just 2 days ago, an application of it. I never even concept because I'm not in that realm anymore.
Yeah.
Someone's talking about they have kids in school and how kids are using AI to write their papers.
Yeah.
And I remember back in my time, like there's ways you could cheat on your essays. You could hire someone online. They can ghostwrite it, I guess. But there was ways to counter. There was ways to like detect that and ways to be like find out that it was what's the term for it when you falsify something? It's
it's like whatever.
Perjury or
I forgot perjury.
Perjury.
Yeah.
Perjury.
Yeah.
But with AI, you can't really do that because it's so unique.
Yeah, it's random generated for you.
So imagine all the kids in college that are using AI, and then what I kind of countered that, and that's kind of like my view of the world, is, you know, if someone was that interested in a certain topic, they would not ever dare use AI because they are their own AI. They are their own unique perspective. But if someone's just trying to get by a class because they have to for a degree that they don't even want, they might use AI. But it's like the idea of if robots or AI was able to take over jobs that are not important to us, that are not our purpose.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like calculators, you know? Like,
yeah. Imagine the world like old school, like we don't fuck calculators. We need human minds. Like, no, calculators are a huge thing for us. But like you also need human minds behind it. But there are passionate people about mathematics that they don't even need a calculator.
Yeah, I feel like what will fall away now is like, you know, when you have a creative block, you just type it into an AI. Hey, I want to have 20 ideas for this topic with this restrictions, and it comes up with 20 ideas. And that's what you can do right now for free. Or I need a meal plan. I did that on like because I cannot afford like.
So it's not all bad.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
You get any information right now as you would if you would Google it. But the thing is like you don't have to go through all the things and the listings and check till you find it. It just gives it to you.
And you're not getting like spammed. You're actually getting really original ideas. And I think that's kind of beautiful is how we're able to angle or balance off of also because like AI might say this, but like that inspired me to add that concept with my concept, and now I've created an invention.
And now we just need to execute. Like I was like typing in like, hey, I want to have a what was this Quentin Tarantino style movie. You know, I came up with like a couple script ideas. Like I want to have a movie with this storyline in this style. It came out with a couple scripts. I'm like, but now I have to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Now ideas are free, but you have to do it. And that is the new thing. Like we don't have to worry about ideas anymore. We just have to execute.
And I think a big thing too is the idea of concept of like comparing is the thief of happiness. So if someone else is like making millions off of like an AI concept that they're bouncing off of versus you just doing an OG the old school way, which there's nothing wrong with that.
You come up with your own thing. That is like the thing too,
The only wrong thing is like comparing yourself. Like, hey, listen, I'm going to be the only me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the only me that's coming up with things. And granted, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say this publicly right now on a podcast. I'll actually phrase it in a story. I took one of my girlfriends at the time to one of my favorite magicians. He was out in Orlando.
Yeah.
We went to see his magic show, and she's like looking at me like, oh my God, Cory, he's doing all of your tricks.
It's our tricks now.
Well, what it was I forgot to tell her that I got inspiration from him.
Yeah.
So I got so much inspiration from this guy that I've done his tricks with inspiration of other things too in my life that make me unique. But she saw the show, was like, oh my God, Cory, he's doing that one trick that you do. I'm like, oh, he's doing the trick that I do?
How dare him?
I'm going to sue him. But no, it's like inspiration comes, creativity is the ability to hide your sources. And for me, like typically I don't bring my girlfriend to all my favorite magician shows, or I don't show them all the things. And my audience, the audience is a big world. I know a lot of magicians hate on someone that's not coming up with original material, but my counter argument is I've seen so much great magic in my life only because I'm so into it that the world hasn't. I want to live vicariously. I want them to live vicariously through me. I want their art that they created on their own to live vicariously through me and mix with this and that. And now the world gets to feel them. Yeah. They're still relevant somehow. Like their thing they created is still alive.
There's like a really dope book that kind of says in a similar way like you do. Still like an artist.
Yeah.
And it's basically like combine several styles that you like and you become your own style.
And being your own self is a huge thing, especially when it comes to approaching people. Like find your way. I can imagine a lot of people. My mirror tie.
Yeah.
Bro, I bought the guy out just 2 days ago. I bought him out of all the mirror ties he owns.
Yeah.
You can't Amazon these. I found this at Burning Man, to be honest, and he does sell them on a beep location. And I bought him out because these ties really make me who I am. It's my personality. I've almost ingrained this tie into my body in a sense that if another magician, I remember some other magician asked me, "Hey, where do you get your ties?" I'm like, "Ha."
Secret.
Fuck that shit. You ain't hearing that. Because, like, I don't want someone to be like, yeah, I saw this guy with a mirror tie. And I'm like, me? They're like, nah, he was dark skinned. I'm like, okay, that wasn't me. This is like the way that people know me is a mirror tie.
Yeah.
But, my approach is so unique that, all right, I'm going to call someone out on my Facebook. It doesn't really matter, but my mom brought it up. It was cool. So I was in Denver for a long layover.
Yeah.
Just recently, like a few days ago. And I forgot my backpack at the bar. And I'm in Uber is my airport. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I called him like, hey, yeah, we'll put it in the back. And I made a Facebook post about it. I'm like, no. For me, it was just clothes and magic tricks. Like, I have more clothes. I have more magic tricks. In my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to fly to Denver to pick it up and make a fun trip out of it.
Yeah.
So like, so I made a post saying like, yeah, it's just magic tricks and clothes. I'm just going to buy the clothes and tricks on Amazon. And someone's like, oh, you buy your tricks on Amazon? And I'm like, hey, fuck it, whatever. And then later on, I made the post about my ties, how I just bought up my ties because everyone keeps asking where I get them. I'm like, it's not up for information. You're not going to find out. So the same guy says, oh, you'll tell people where you buy tricks, but not your ties? I don't get it. My mom made the greatest point. you could buy my tricks, but you'll never be able to do it like me.
Yeah.
You can buy my
There's a
tie,
style.
and you can start stealing my style.
Yeah.
It's like, you could buy my tie and be the coolest guy with my tie. But my tricks, you could buy the same tricks that I have right now, and no one will be able to do what I do.
That's true. Like
I gotta pee.
You become like your own thing.
It really is. You become almost a symbiotic with all your experiences and all your memories, and you become a unit that is one of a kind. Like roll of the dice. Imagine rolling the dice 1,000 times, and that collection of numbers is who you are, and no one else can roll the numbers the same way as you.
Yeah. So nobody can cover you, and even if they could, you're still in a different place than they are. So whoever they show it, they are not the people that are around you. So it doesn't really
100%.
matter. So you could do the same thing like somebody else. There's still enough space because you're not like neighbors and like, hey, you're standing in front of your house doing the same trick. It's like, no,
100%.
different cities, different.
And that's where, like, I work with the mafia, so if there's... I just take them out.
Mafia.
I don't work for the mafia. I don't work for the mafia. Kidding. But actually, there's a guy from Australia, Jackson Nason. He's way better at sleight of hand than I am. And my style used to be like, black pants, red jacket, white shirt, mirror tie. And he had the same color code. And not the same mirror tie, but like a mirrorish tie. And he claims that he did it on his own, which I have...
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I was OG of it, but
OG.
But he's also on the other side of the earth, so I don't care. And he's so good at what he does that, like, instead of me hating on him, I love what he does. I'd love to be with him.
Yeah.
I'd love to hang out with him because instead of seeing people that are better at things that I do as enemies and things to retort, I'm like, those are my friends. Those are
you
people I
can learn from them and like do your own thing.
Speaking of learning from, I gotta go pee. Do you want to talk to people about the?
I think we kind of need to end it too because it's getting late.
Okay, yeah. Honestly,
So let's do like a one major shout out to the one and only Cory. How do you say your last name?
Van Valin.
Van Valin. I'm so bad with names.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, Van Valin. It's
Yeah.
like the V sound as a German is really bad. I want to say it differently, and it would be so wrong. Van Valin.
Well, the biggest shout out is on the first weekend of March. I have 2 days. I have Friday and Saturday. As of now, I might open it more once it sells out.
Yeah. So where can they see you then? In Tampa?
So my stage show is over out in Tampa in Channelside at a place called Stage Works Theater. You can buy tickets on Eventbrite. It's $25 for general admission or $35 for the first four rows. It's an adult-rated, dirty comedy magic show. I've been doing them for about 6 years, but it's been a 1.5 year hiatus that I've been off.
Yeah.
So I have a lot more new stuff. My favorite thing about my stage shows, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is when the house lights come on and I look at the audience for my first time, I see people that I've met at different times in my life, different places, different locations. And it's the best networking event because you can imagine I've met a lot of cool people that want to see my show and bring other cool people to my show.
Yeah.
Imagine you go to my show and you talk to your neighbor and they're fucking Logan Paul. I'm exaggerating, for example, yeah. But like they're also going to be good people. They're content creators. They're sexy. They're fucking smart. They're
killing the game, basically.
killing the game. There's people amongst my crew that are seeing my show. When I say my crew, I look out and I see him like, oh my God, it's Tim. Oh my God, it's my mom.
Mama's a crew.
Mama's crew. It's like my show. It's not just my show. It's 90% of the tickets sold are people that have met me before. So you can go to your neighbor, like, how'd you meet Cory?
Yeah.
And they'll tell you their story. And you can tell them your story. And you've had...
You know a bunch of people. So, that's undersells a little bit. But I'm just like, there's a lot of people that you know.
it's a concept, man. It's a small world.
Yeah.
We're all connected. We're all cool. If we found out how connected we really are, like the 7 strings of Kevin Bacon, whatever it is, but like...
7 strings of...
Whatever degrees. But it's that concept that my show is great for first dates. Let's say you're bringing someone out
That's
first
actually
date.
a good one.
Yeah, it's like, first dates are awkward. You have to talk a lot. Bring him to my show. Bring him to my show. You won't have to talk at all. You'll get to laugh together. Then afterwards, I'll come and be like, yo, man, this guy's the G. Or that girl's she's the ma'am.
Yeah. You maybe show her like a funny smelling rabbit.
It's like, that's my mentor right here that you're dating for the first time. That's Mr. Miyagi right there. But it's a good time. You'll laugh. You'll have memories. You'll be blown away. And I think that makes lasting impressions on connections. When you meet someone, if you meet someone online, you can talk all day. But like, let's say you go out somewhere and you meet someone, a car
Something
crash
exciting.
happens. Let's say a car crash happens, but they all survive. You're like, you'll always have that car crash in your mind mentally, like as a bonding moment. My stage show is not a car crash, but it resembles like something phenomenal that you can share with someone and share with everyone and have confidence. It's going to be good. I've been doing it for a while. It's always been good. It's only going to be better.
Yeah, there we go.
On that note, I got to go pee.
Yeah. So on that note, thanks for watching the Create Before Consume podcast. This was an awesome episode so far. I really felt the vibe, and yeah, see you on another episode. And check out his Instagram and book him. All the descriptions are down
Chris
below.
Angel sucks.
Chris Angel sucks.
No, Chris Angel sucks, not does.
Chris Angel sucks.
Is my Instagram.
Is his Instagram. I nearly ruined that. I'm sorry. Just read the link
Now
below.
I gotta create a new account. Chris Angel does suck because like someone else might get that.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to hold you up.